Before we begin, please be advised. This story contains strong language and graphic violence. Viewer discretion is advised. This story was written and narrated by Crazy Boy Brett. Unauthorized Life, The Redwood Incident. Chapter 1, The Redwoods Watched. California, March 2003. Friday night, the day before spring break. Redwood forests like this were never truly silent. Something always moved, breathed, something was always happening, like a branch settling high above, as water dripped from somewhere unseen. Each sound had arrived alone and different from before, as if nothing was truly allowed to survive. That was what Athena noticed first. Not because she heard something, but because she didn't. The redwoods rose around the clearing in vast vertical columns, their upper branches vanishing into a canopy that swallowed moonlight and sound alike. Whatever noises existed beyond the trees, wind, animals, distant movement, felt muted, as though filtered through the layers of bark and age. The only light came from the campfire. Its glow reached barely a couple feet away from the tree line, the flames painting the trunks in wavering orange bands before surrendering them back to black. The trees didn't move. They didn't rustle. They simply stood there, immense and patient, like they had been standing for centuries. 7 teenagers sat around the fire, close enough to feel its heat, the flames painting the nearest trunks in wavering bands of orange light. Liam sat nearest the flames, flipping his phone open and shut for the 5th time in 2 minutes. The flames reflected in his cyan blue eyes, his orange hair catching the light so it almost seemed to glow. "No service," he muttered. "Not even one bar. Why did we come out here again?" he questioned. Heather exhaled dramatically, brushing ash from her leggings as if the motion itself were meditative. Firelight slid across her deep red eyes. Her short-charcoal black hair cropped neatly around her face. The small beauty mark beneath her lip was visible when she smiled, as she knew better than anyone else. "Because we're doing a digital detox, Liam. Presence, mindfulness, existing." Mark snorted from across the fire. The flames picked out the buzz size of his hair, the long brow bangs falling toward his eyebrows as he grinned, sun-yellow eyes bright with amusement. His broad shoulders filled his jacket easily, built like someone who had spent too much time lifting or running drills. "She says that she doesn't need to spend the first hour complaining about mosquitoes." Heather glared. "I did not complain. I was observing my environment." "Sure," Mark said. "That's what screaming." "Ew, get off me." "Counts as now." Leo grinned quietly at the exchange, leaning forward to toss another stick onto the fire. The light gleamed across his dark skin and caught in his rose-pink eyes, his black hair falling neatly as he settled back. He wasn't much of a talker, but his calm demeanor always seemed to ground the group as if he were in control. Natalie didn't join the jokes. She rarely did, wrapped tightly in her jacket. She watched the edges of the clearing instead, silver glasses catching faint reflections of firelight as her gaze drifted through the trees. Almost expecting something to appear, her mint green hair was pulled back into a neat ponytail, exposing emerald eyes that glinted sharply. When the fire popped, she flinched and then pretended she hadn't. Connor sat farthest from the flames, legs folded beneath him, his face turned toward the trees. The firelight barely touched him, catching only the edge of his violet hair and faint gleam of his amethyst eyes fixed on the dark beyond the clearing. He wasn't afraid. Connor didn't really need to fear anything, but something about their stillness stood out. He wasn't watching the fire, he was listening to what lay beyond the trees. And Athena, like Connor, sat between them all. Laughing at Liam's complaints, teasing Mark for trying too hard, firelight slid through her like long milk chocolate hair, catching in as she leaned forward. The glow reflected faintly in her orange eyes, but every few moments her attention slipped away from the circle, drifting toward the tree line, not out of fear, but habit. She had always liked watching animals, with reptiles being her favorite. She liked the quiet moments when something small revealed itself at the edge of the dark. Tonight, though nothing moved where she expected it to. Connor, however, couldn't explain the feeling, but something felt off about the forest. Mark broke the moment with a scoff. "Okay, but seriously, we'd better see a deer or a bear or something. I didn't come all the way out here just to listen to Liam cry about having no signal." Liam rolled his eyes. "Bro, wildlife doesn't appear on command. This isn't some video game with cheats. Snap!" The sound cracked through the clearing like a whip. A twig breaking, sharp close. 7 heads turned at once. 2 yellow eyes glowed low to the ground and at the edge of the firelight. A black bear stepped forward, just enough to be seen, its shape broad and heavy against the trees. "Oh crap, oh crap, oh crap," Liam whispered. Leo stood still. "Okay, we practice this, just like the video, guys." They rose together, spreading their arms, shouting into the darkness. Mark stomped so hard that dirt flung into the air. Heather clanged, her metal flask against her water bottle. Natalie, with the rest of them, shouted, her voice steady despite the pounding in her chest. The bear hesitated, snorted, and for a moment no one breathed. Then it turned and lowered back into the trees. Silence returned, but something else stayed. Athena felt it first, a crawling sensation between her shoulder blades, the unmistakable sense of eyes on her back. Connor felt it too. Does anyone else? Athena began quietly, but before she could finish, the force answered her. A scream tore through the trees. Not human, not bear. A high-pitched, ripping shriek that echoed again and again, bouncing through the redwoods long after the source had gone silent. No one moved. Was that the bear? Mark asked, his voice cracking despite the bravado. It sounded like it, Liam said slowly, but like something was attacking it. Guys, Natalie whispered, her voice barely audible. We shouldn't be here. Connor said abruptly, I'm leaving. Oh my god, Connor, Heather groaned. Really? She questioned. I'm leaving, he repeated. Something's wrong. I'm not staying here. I've a bad feeling since we got here earlier, and now it has come to fruition. They laughed, called him dramatic, called him scared. He didn't argue. Connor walked toward the car at the edge of the clearing without looking back. Moments later, headlights flared through the trees. An engine turned over. Then the sound faded down the road. Liam scoffed. Baby. Mark tossed a pine cone into the fire. Whatever, more marshmallows for us. Heather clasped her hands together, forcing brightness into her voice. Okay, since the mood is officially creepy now, does anyone want to tell a scary story? Athena hesitated. Then she smirked. I've got one. She leaned forward, firelight reflected in her eyes, the Redwood whistler. The others chuckled nervously, shifting closer to the flames. Athena lowered her voice. There's an old story, she said, about hikers who walk out here alone. They say you might hear someone behind you, a person whistling. A shiver passed through the group. But when you turn around, nobody's there. She paused, letting the silence stretch. As if the whistling stops. Her smile faded. Run. They laughed, but none of them looked behind them. The laughter faded faster than it should have. Liam pulled his jacket tighter and around himself, glancing at his phone, though he already knew it had no service. The screen felt useless in his hand. Yeah, okay, he muttered, forcing a weak grin. That was actually creepy. Heather flicked her hair back and forced a laugh. Please, it's just a story. Trees can't whistle. Mark smirked. Yeah, but mountain lions can scream, remember? He leaned back on his elbows, trying to look relaxed, but his foot tapped the ground nonstop. Natalie said nothing. She stared into the darkness beyond the firelight, her fingers curled tightly into her sleeves. Leo tended the fire, adding a branch as quietly as he always did. He smiled faintly, but Athena noticed it didn't reach his eyes. Only Athena seemed genuinely still, listening as if the forest was saying something that others couldn't hear or realize. Liam said abruptly, brushing dirt from his jeans. All right, spooky story time over. I have to pee before Mark tells another one. Go in pairs or something, Heather said. There are animals out there. I'll be fine, Liam shot back, already heading toward the tree line. If anything eats me, at least I die with dignity. Not possible, Mark called after him. Liam ignored the laughter and stepped past the firelight. The darkness thickened immediately, swallowing the warmth behind him. He found a spot near an old fallen log and unzipped. A moment later, a thwack. Something small struck him in the chest. What the? Before he could finish, a sharp avian screech exploded from above. Liam jerked his head up, heart hammering. A shadow shifted on a branch overhead. Just a bird. Its silhouette rigid against the faint moonlight, but the timing was too perfect, too deliberate. He screamed highly, breathless, instinctive, and sprinted back towards the fire, stumbling over roots as he ran, lungs burning. Mark nearly doubled over laughing. Bro screamed like a little girl. Heather covered her mouth, giggling. Liam. Oh my god, what happened? Liam bent forward, hands on his knees, breath hitching. I don't care how funny you think it is. No bird throws a six. Birds don't have hands. Mark cackled. Maybe it hates you specifically. Heather added, smirking. Maybe the branch just fell as it took flight. Shut up, Liam snapped. I'm serious. A twig hit me in the chest, hard. Then I heard the screech, and when I looked up, it was just a bird. But something threw that stick. I was standing still, Liam continued, and it came from the trees. Most of the group laughed, shaking their heads in amusement, but Athena didn't. She watched Liam closely. There was no exaggeration in his voice, just fear, real fear. It made her chest tighten. Natalie was watching too, silent and pale. Leo sat very still, his smile gone entirely. What exactly did you hear? Athena asked quietly. Liam exhaled shakily. A screech. Almost like a bird, but not. I don't know. It sounded wrong. Mark rolled his eyes. You're just scared because it's dark. Relax, dude. But Athena didn't relax. She didn't look away from the tree line. A stillness had settled over the forest again, a deeper one. Natalie felt it too. Her hands were clenched tightly in her lap. Leo shifted closer to the fire, his jaw tight, his usual calm gone. No one said anything. The truth settled in their stomachs. But something was out there. Something that didn't want to be seen. And whatever it was not no bird. Liam sat hunched over, sucking on his thumb without realizing it. Mark noticed immediately. Oh my god, Mark snorted. Look at him. Dude's in high school and sucking his thumb. Liam yanked his hand away, face flushing. Shut up! Leo slid closer to Athena and Natalie, lowering his voice so the others wouldn't hear. Are you sure it's safe to stay out here? Athena didn't answer. She was still staring at the tree line, muscles tense, eyes narrowed. Natalie pushed her glasses up on her nose. A small nervous gesture. I don't like this, she whispered. Then a soft hooting drifted through the woods. Every conversation died immediately. Mark lifted his head. See, just an owl, he said. Though his voice wavered. Another hoot, a little closer. He stepped toward the edge of the trees, leaning forward, listening hard. The hoot came again, closer this time. Too even, too measured. Athena felt her stomach tighten. Owls didn't stop mid-call. That sounded weird, Athena said, keeping her voice light on purpose. Natalie shook her head. Yeah, you got that right. Liam snorted. It's an owl, Athena. This is literally their thing. Mark added, puffing out his chest, smirking. Let's go see what this owl looks like. I came here to camp and be a wildlife man. Mama ain't raised no bitch. He stepped past the tree line. He gets one spooky noise, and suddenly he's an animal explorer, no hunter, Liam muttered. Heather stood up sharply. Hey! Don't go wandering off. Mark waved her off without turning back. It's just an owl. Another hoot rolled out the forest. Lower now. Slower. But the forest swallowed him fast. His silhouette disappeared between the trunks within seconds. Athena rose halfway, eyes wide. That was one odd owl, she said quietly. Leo exhaled through his nose. I think you're overthinking. Natalie clutched her jacket sleeves. We need to get him back now. But it was already too late. The hooting had stopped, and the forest had gone completely unnerving, silent. Heather pushed off the log and started toward the tree line. I'm going after him, she said, already half jogging. But Leo caught her arm with surprising speed. Hold on now. Heather stopped, startled. Leo wasn't the type to grab anyone, but something about this made her freeze. Don't go running off by yourself, he said quietly. His voice didn't waver. It was calm, controlled, and somehow colder than the night air. Not out here. Heather hesitated, her breath clouding in air. Yeah, right. Okay. Leo turned to Athena, who was watching the dark like she expected it to move. Athena, he said, who should go? We'll need lights, and we don't have cell service. Athena nodded, already moving. She reached into the equipment bag, rummaging with purpose, pulling out 2 flashlights. She flicked them both on, tight, bright beams cut the clearing. She held them out. You two, she said firmly, looking at Heather and Liam. You're closest to Mark. You know him best, and he can't be far. Take these, find him, and come straight back. Heather nodded. Liam forced confidence he didn't have. Yeah, sure, Hero Squad. Let's go. The two disappeared into the trees, their lights weaving between trunks. The forest swallowed the beam faster than it should have. Mark shoved through the brambles and ferns, muttering curses under his breath. Each step felt louder than the last. Leaves tearing, branches snapping at feet, the forest at night felt wrong in a way he couldn't quite explain, like it knew he was there. Above him, the canopy sealed itself tight, blocking most of the starlight. Only thin fractured streaks of silver slipped through the branches, never quite reaching the ground. The darkness between the redwoods felt layered and dense, as if the distance itself had collapsed. He stopped and patted down his pockets. Left pocket empty, right pocket empty, back pocket? Nothing. He checked again, faster this time, fingers digging, breath shortening. Nothing. His stomach dropped. Fuck! He yelled, the word ripping out of him before he could stop it. It echoed once between the colossal trunks, then vanished, swallowed by the darkness. I forgot a damn flashlight, he muttered, the bravado draining from his voice. You've got to be kidding me. He turned slowly. Darkness bent him like a wall. He couldn't see the clearing. He couldn't see the firelight. He couldn't even see anything. Couldn't even tell which way he'd come from. It was as if he were in the void. Okay, he whispered, forcing the word out. Okay, okay. Don't freak out. He pointed blindly behind him. Camp's right back that way. Right? Straight line. Easy. He breathed in, then breathed out. Then rustle. A soft shift of leaves to his left. Mark froze. Wind? An animal? Something else? He held his breath and listened. Crunch. Footsteps. Not random. Not panicked. Like a deer. Slow, paced, controlled. His heart crawled up into his throat. He stared into the narrow space between 2 redwoods, eyes straining, failing to separate shadow from shape. Cold prickled his skin despite the sweat gathering on his neck. Then it came, a sound, high-pitched, sharp, and wrong. A screech that didn't belong to anything he'd ever heard in the forest. Not a bird, not a fox, not anything that fits. It tore through the air. Mark whipped toward it, breath shaking, eyes wide. Nope, he whispered. Nope, 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 nope. He took a step back, then another. His legs felt weak, unsteady, like the ground beneath him had softened. Then flash. 2 beams of light cut through the dark and blasted across his face. Mark flinched, nearly, shouting until the shapes resolved. Heather! Liam! Heather jogged toward him, her flashlight bobbing. Mark, what are you doing out here without a light? Mark exhaled, relief crashing through him. I forgot, okay? Just get me back to camp. But Liam wasn't looking at him. He was staring past Mark, deeper into the trees. Something had moved, a shadow. Big, slow, wrong. Heather didn't notice. Liam did, and Mark did. For a heartbeat, none of them spoke. The forest felt tight around them, the darkness pressing in, waiting. Mark's hand drifted outward, fingers trembling as he gestured toward the trees. His eyes narrowed, not in anger, but in something much closer to fear. Liam, he said quietly. Liam blinked. Mark never sounded like that, not quiet, not shaken, not careful. For a moment, Liam assumed it was another attempt to look tough, another dramatic moment Mark would brag about later. But then he saw Mark's body, actually shaking. Mark swallowed hard. You saw that, didn't you, Liam? That shadow. His voice was barely above a whisper. That wasn't a bear, or a mountain lion. Liam froze, because Mark had said exactly what he was thinking. He had seen it too. A bead of sweat slid down the side of Liam's face. His heart slammed against his ribs with sickening force. Yes, Mark, Liam said, his voice cracking. I saw it too. Heather stood between them, confused and irritated, whipping her head from Mark to Liam. Saw what? She demanded, louder than she should have. Mark didn't even look at her. "Be quiet," he said. The words were sharp, tight. Heather's breath caught. He had never spoken to her like that before. Liam swept his flashlight in a slow arc across the forest. Massive trunks lit up, shadows stretched, ferns glowed pale under the beam. But nothing moved. Nothing made a sound. Nothing looked wrong. And that terrified him. Terrified him more than anything. Mark exhaled, shaky but controlled. "Let's head back." "I agree," Liam said immediately. Heather didn't argue again. She walked between them. As they turned, her eyes darting at every imagined sound, though the forest offered none. They moved faster than what they meant. Mark kept glancing right. Liam kept glancing left. Heather stayed rigid, breathing through her nose. The quiet was unnatural. Too unnatural. Not even the insects were chirping. By the time the firelight finally broke through the trees, all three of them felt their legs loose in relief. Chapter 2. The forest was not empty. "Well, that was quick," Natalie said, adjusting her glasses. "You got that right," Leo added, watching the returning trio closely. Athena didn't say anything. She watched Mark and Liam step into view as the fire lit their faces, their eyes sharp, their bodies wired, tight. Breath shallow and uneven, like they had been running from something. They weren't joking. They weren't teasing. They weren't acting like themselves at all. Something was wrong. Athena's brow furrowed. Something had changed. Something in the way Mark avoided the firelight, in the way Liam wouldn't stop scanning the trees. What spooked them this badly, she thought. She pushed herself to her feet and walked toward them slowly, her expression unreadable, her mind already piecing together possibilities that the others weren't considering. Athena stepped closer, the firelight catching in her eyes. Her voice came out flat, cold, cutting through the nervous chatter of the rest of the group. "What did you two see?" Not asking, demanding. The kind of certainty she would return to later. Liam and Mark stiffened at the same time, both swallowing so hard they almost choked. The question hit them harder like a hammer. Her perception really is sharp, Mark thought, his throat tightening. Neither of them wanted to answer. Neither of them wanted to remember what they saw. But the silence stretched too long. Finally, Mark spoke, or tried to. There was this massive shadow in the woods. His voice trembled, stumbling on his words. He wasn't trying to act tough anymore. It wasn't a bear. Or a mountain lion. He stuttered, breath shaking. "I've never seen a silhouette like that before. Its tail was so long. I don't know what it was." The camp went unnervingly still. Even the fire seemed to crackle more quietly. Leo leaned forward, elbows on his knees, his face tight. "Describe it, Mark." Mark opened his mouth, but Liam blurted out before he could even speak. "I don't know if it was on 2 legs or 4, Liam said quickly, words tumbling over each other. His eyes flicked forward toward the tree line again. "For a split second, I saw it. Its body was slender. Long arms, long legs, a really long tail. It had a neck too long. You guys won't believe me, but—" He hesitated, then said anyway, "It looked like some kind of silhouette of a dinosaur." A ripple of shock passed through the group. The world seemed to hang in the air, heavy and wrong. Heather let out a sharp laugh that sounded more like a bark. "Oh, stop lying. A dinosaur? Seriously? They're extinct. Extinct! I'm not listening to this crazy crap." But no one else moved. Natalie's glasses slipped slightly down her nose as her eyes widened. Leo's face drained of color. Even Mark, usually cocky, looked like he had seen a ghost. Athena didn't speak. She was thinking. Dinosaurs? No. Impossible. But the look on Mark and Liam's faces, the pale skin, the trembling hands, didn't look like something people made up. Leo swallowed hard, thoughts spiraling. There was a massive cloning company, Leo remembered. The headlines, the late-night news, segments announcing breakthroughs in genetic resurrection, mammoths, cave lions, direwolves, but they never mentioned dinosaurs, unless they lied. Unless something escaped. He stared into the black wall of trees, his heartbeat quickening. "Is that what's out there?" he questioned. Athena kept replaying the descriptions in her mind. Long limbs, long tail, slender build, fast, silent. Her stomach tightened. Dinosaurs? No way. The way they described it felt like something, like a serpent. But something's out there. The thought barely finished forming when the forest answered. The fire popped sharply. Then the night went unnervingly still. 6 teenagers froze around the fire, every eye drifting toward the dark tree line. No wind, no insects, no crackling twigs. Just silence so complete it felt artificial. Then, thrash! The sound tore through the woods like something being ripped open. Heavy pounding footsteps. Fast, panicked as everyone tensed up. Heather stepped back. What is that?" The ground vibrated lightly beneath their boots. Thrash, thrash, thrash. The sound got louder. Branches snapped. Brush exploded outward. A deep guttural grunt, raw with fear, carried through the trees. Liam's voice trembled. "Something big is coming." All 6 turned toward the tree line. The forest exploded. A massive bull elk burst into the clearing. Foam sprang from its mouth, eyes bloodshot with terror. Its flank was shredded with long claw marks deep enough to expose muscle and flesh. The wounds were fresh, as blood was pouring from them, gushing. "Too wide, too precise," Natalie gasped. Stumbling backward, Leo swore under his breath. Athena's pupils narrowed, instincts firing. The elk wasn't charging them. It was running for its life. Before anyone could react, the beast lunged forward, and Mark had no time to react. He saw the horns. He saw the elk's eyes roll white with terror, and then impact. A loud thud and crunch could be heard. The antler drove straight through Mark's chest, lifting him off the ground like a doll. Mark's breath escaped in a soft, confused exhale. His eyes lost focus. His thoughts drifted as if sedated, sliding into a fog where nothing quite made sense. Warm blood spilled down his shirt, dripping in thick, dark streams on the forest floor. The elk didn't slow, didn't hesitate, didn't even seem to notice the human impaled on its antlers. It bolted ahead back into the woods, dragging Mark's limp, bleeding body with it. Heather screamed, her voice breaking. "Mark!" Liam surged forward, tripping before sprinting after the fleeing shape. "He's still alive. We gotta get him," he shouted. Liam, Heather, wait, Athena shouted. But they were already gone, their flashlights whipping wildly as they vanished into the black forest. Leo stood frozen, staring at the tree line where Mark had disappeared. Natalie backed up until she hit a cooler, hands shaking, glasses sliding down her nose. Athena stayed perfectly still. Her heart hammered so loudly it drowned out her thoughts. She stared into the darkness where her friends had disappeared, breathed tight and controlled, mind racing. Something was wrong. Very wrong. But she didn't say it. Not while Heather and Liam were sprinting into the forest after a dying friend. Just like that, there were the three of them left. The forest swallowed Heather and Liam's flashlights, the beams thinning, flickering, and finally vanishing as if the trees themselves were closing around them, their beams flickering between the trunks before disappearing completely. Then it was quiet again. Too quiet. Athena stood rooted to the spot, breath shallow, eyes fixated on the darkness. Natalie clutched her arms tightly against her chest, trembling uncontrollably. Leo stared at the tree line, pale, sweat shining along his jaw. For a long moment none of them spoke. Finally, Natalie whispered, What do we do?" Her voice cracked like thin glass. Leo dragged a hand through his hair, pacing once, then twice, shaking his head hard. "We can't just stand here. We have to go after them. We can't let them be out there alone." Athena didn't move. She didn't agree. She didn't disagree. She just thought hard. "Leo," she said quietly, "you saw that elk. Something mauled it badly enough to panic a full-grown bull. It didn't just run through our camp. It charged through like it was terrified." Leo stopped pacing. Natalie was swallowed, tears welling. "That wasn't a mountain lion," Athena added, eyes narrowing, "and it wasn't a bear." Leo's voice tightened. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying," Athena answered, her voice low and deliberate, "that whatever did that wasn't just an animal. It wasn't acting on instinct, it was hunting. And still, they're close enough to hear us." Natalie's breath hitched. "Oh, God!" Athena scanned the forest again, this time controlled. No movement and no sound, not even distant animal calls. Leo forced a breath. We should go after them, if Mark is still alive." But Athena shook her head sharply. "If we run after them blindly, we'd end up just like them. We need light. Actual light, options, tools, something to defend ourselves with." There was a pause. "We need a plan." Her voice wasn't panicked, it was steady, cold, and focused. Natalie whimpered softly, "But what if they are ready?" "Don't finish that sentence," Leo cut in. Though his voice wavered, Athena grabbed both of their attention and, "We're not splitting up any further. That's rule number 1. She pointed toward the cooler, the bags, the scatter camp supplies. "We regroup. We get every flashlight, every battery, every sharp object, anything we can use. Then we follow the trail carefully." Leo nodded, grateful for direction. Natalie wiped her eyes with her sleeve. Okay. Athena inhaled deeply once, then said firm and final. Those two ran to the forest without thinking. The fire cracked behind them, a log collapsing inward and sending a brief spray of sparks into the dark. She looked at them both. "We're not making the same mistake, all right?" Leo ran a shaking hand across his forehead, staring into the dark where Heather and Liam had disappeared. His breath came fast, unsteady. Then he spun toward Athena. "What about the cars?" he said suddenly, voice rising. "We still have 2 cars. Why don't we just get out of here? We drive back to Crescent City. We get help. Rangers, police, anyone." Leo looked between them, desperate for someone to agree with him. For a heartbeat, the idea felt like oxygen, like his lungs finally filled, his chest loosening for the first time since the elk burst into the clearing. Escape. Athena didn't move. She just stared at Leo, expression unreadable. Then she said quietly, "And leave them behind?" Leo hesitated, his throat bobbed. "Athena," he said, trying to steady himself. "Heather and Liam ran to the woods after a dying friend without thinking, without a plan. You said that yourself." Athena's jaws clenched. Leo continued, voice tightening with fear and logic blending together. "If we stay here, we're just sitting targets out here. Mark's gone. God knows what's happening to him and those 2. His voice cracked. "Those 2 don't stand a chance out there alone." Natalie flinched at his words, tears burning her eyes. But then Athena cut in, sharp and unwavering. "Leo," she said. "If we leave," she exhaled slowly, "we're abandoning them to die." The words were simple, cold, and true. Leo stepped back like the sentence had hit him physically. "Athena, if something big enough to maul an elk is out there, what chance do we have?" Athena didn't blink. "We have more than they do right now." Athena's voice was small, barely audible. I don't want to leave them." Leo paced a short circle, his hands in his hair, breathing hard through his nose. "So what? We just stay here, wait until that thing comes back?" he snapped. "You saw what it did to that elk." Athena stepped closer, lowering her voice but making it firmer. "We don't run," she said. "Not yet." Leo stared at her. "Why?" he finally whispered. Athena lifted her flashlight, the beam trembling slightly in her grip, then steadying, held firm by a force of will. Because if we leave, she met his gaze cold, directly rational and determined, we'll never see them again. There was a silence. But then, Natalie hugged herself, shivering. Leo looked away, shaking his head, torn between logic and loyalty. Athena took a breath and said, "We're not abandoning them, not while we still have a chance." Branches slapped their arms as Liam and Heather tore down hill and off the trail through the forest, flashlights shaking wildly in their hands. Their breaths came ragged and sharp, too loud in the oppressive quiet, every inhale echoing back at them like the forest was listening. The beam of Liam's light skipped over the roots and fallen branches, then caught something dark. It was blood. A slick trail glistened across leaves and ferns, smeared into the dirt as a ribbon dragged through the undergrowth. "He's got to be close," Liam shouted, voice cracking, desperation bleeding into every word. Heather didn't answer. She just ran harder. Then her flashlight swept forward. Her breath tore out of her in a scream. "Liam!" Mark lay crumpled beside a narrow game path, twisted at an unnatural angle. Antler wounds tore open across his chest. His shirt was soaked through, clinging darkly to his skin. Blood spilled from the corner of his mouth in thin, stringy lines. Liam skidded to his knees, skin ripping against the gravel and roots. He didn't feel it at all. All he saw was Mark, broken, bleeding, unmoving. Mark, look at me!" Liam shouted, his voice cracking in panic. Mark's eyes fluttered open, unfocused, drifting like he was trapped between waking and sleeping. A small, confused laugh bubbled out of him before a wet cough sent fresh blood spilling down his chin. Heather dropped beside him so fast she nearly collided with his body. She cupped his face with shaking hands. Hey, stay with us, okay? You're okay. We've got you now. Just breathe, Mark. Just breathe." Mark tried. Every breath sounded wrong. Short, wet gurgling, like something inside of him was collapsing inward with every inhale. His skin was already cold beneath Heather's fingers. His lips were pale, tinged faintly blue. Liam saw it all, and terror hit him harder than anything I'd ever felt before. "What do we do?" he shouted. "Heather, what do we do?" Heather ripped off her overshirt, hands falling. "Pressure, right? We put pressure on it." Yeah, do it," Liam said, nodding too fast. She pressed the fabric down. Mark screamed, a raw, broken sound that echoed through the trees. Heather yanked her hands back instantly. "Oh my God. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Liam grabbed Mark under the arms, trying to lift him. "We gotta sit him up. Keep his airway open. Something." The moment Mark moved, he gasped. A horrible bubbling sound tore open through his chest as blood poured faster. His body arched, then collapsed inward again. Heather grabbed Liam's wrist. "No, stop! You're making it worse!" she shouted. "I'm trying to help," Liam screamed, panic cracking his voice. Mark's head rolled weakly toward them, blood dripping from his mouth. Help!" Barely a whisper. Barely even there. Heather clasped his hand in both of hers. "Mark, look at me. Don't close your eyes. Please, whatever you do, do not close them." Liam's flashlight jittered violently as he scanned the trees. "It's too quiet," he whispered. "Heather, it's way too quiet." Heather didn't look away from Mark. "We can't leave him here," she said. "We have to move him." "Move him," Liam snapped. "He's bleeding out. If we drag him, if we listen, he could die." "He could die if we don't," she responded. The words fell into the dark like a dropped stone. Mark's breathing stuttered. His chest rose, struggled, rose again. This time, it was even weaker. Heather brushed blood from his cheek with trembling fingers. "Stay with us," she whispered. Tears were falling from her eyes. Then something moved. Not wind, not animal bolting. The ground trembled. Weight settling, lifting, settling again. Slow, heavy, measured footsteps. Heather froze. Liam's flashlight snapped toward the sound. Whatever it wasn't running. It was approaching. Heather's voice dropped to a breath. "Liam, something's out there." Liam swallowed hard. "I know." Heather tightened her grip on Mark's hand. "We need to move now." Chapter 3. The Voice That Shouldn't Be. Heather brushed blood from Mark's cheek, her hands shaking so badly she could barely keep them steady. The night air bit at her fingers, and the coppery smell of blood mixed with the damp leaves filled her lungs. The firelight was gone now. Only the thin corner of her flashlight illuminated his face, pale and slick with sweat. His eyelids drooped, fighting gravity. His breath came thin and wet. Each one sounded like it might be the last. "Mark, please stay awake," she whispered. Her voice broke as tears slittered down across her face and fell onto his chest, darkening the bloody area already there. Then a voice drifted through the trees. "Where are you guys?" Heather snapped her head up. Relief hit her so hard her chest ached. "Athena," she breathed. "She's looking for us! They came!" Hope, fragile, desperate, flared to life. Heather's shoulders sagged as his shaky breath escaped her, the tightness in her chest loosening for one impossible second. They weren't alone. They hadn't been abandoned. Their friends were there. Mark coughed suddenly, blood splattering across Heather's hands. "Heather," Liam said, panic shaking his voice. "Go get her. Bring her here. She can help." Heather shook her head immediately, gripping Mark's hand tighter. "No! You go," she said. "I'm not leaving him here. Not like this." Liam swallowed, nodding once. Okay, I'll go." He turned and ran toward the sound, flashlight beam jerking wildly as it cut through the trees. Heather bent back over Mark. His lips trembled. His eyes were barely open now, unfocused. "Stay with me. Please don't leave me," she whispered. "They're coming now. Just hold on. Help is on the way." Mark coughed again, Harder this time. More blood spilled from his mouth. Heather squeezed her eyes shut. Please, she begged. Liam ran fast, heart hammering, breath roaring in his ears, boots slipping on the uneven roots that clawed at his feet. Every step felt wrong, every shadow too deep. He expected to see Athena's flashlight any second. Any second. But the trail curved, and there was no one. There was no Athena, no Heather, and no Leo. The forest swallowed the path behind him. He slowed, chest heaving. He exhaled. Heather, he called. Nothing answered, only the faint whisper of wind threading through the redwoods. Cold crawled up his spine. Then, Liam. Right behind him, a whisper. Soft. Perfect. He spun around and froze. It wasn't Athena. Two enormous eyes glowed in the darkness. A beat passed. Then the color resolved. Gold-edged, surrounded by a violent ocean. Unblinking. Intelligent. They watched him. They were fixed on him. They measured him. They studied him. The creature stepped forward slowly, its body unfolding from the shadows. It moved first on all fours, long limbs bending at angles that made Liam's stomach turn, then rose slowly onto its two hind legs, towering and skeletal, its silhouette wrong against the trees. Liam's knees buckled. His body was trembling in fear. You're not Athena, he whispered, his voice stumbling. The creature's jaw twitched, then opened, and Athena's exact voice slid out, soft, familiar, wrong. Oh, Liam. Liam's eyes went wide. His breath left him in a silent grasp. He didn't scream. He didn't run. The creature lunged. A single blinding motion. Pain never came. Liam's body collapsed where it stood. His head separated cleanly from his body, propelled through the air before it struck the forest floor a moment later, eyes still open, staring up at the towering shape above him. I'm sorry, he whispered, the words barely forming. I was stupid. Then, there was nothing. The creature loomed over the remains, sniffing the cooling blood as it inhaled slowly, deliberately. A low hiss escaped it, content. Somewhere deep in the forest, Heather waited, clutching Mark's hand, and the voice she trusted was already gone, swallowed by that same unnatural silence, leaving only the memory of a familiar sound that had truly never been there. Meanwhile, Athena, Leo, and Natalie moved carefully down the narrow forest path. Flashlights held tight, their beams trembling as they slid over roots, ferns, and slick patches of earth. Athena slowed abruptly, her brow tightening. Did you hear that? She whispered. Leo swallowed hard. I think so. Was that Liam? Natalie tugged at Athena's jacket, her grip cold and desperate. Athena, something's wrong. Athena scanned the darkness ahead. Her gut twisted. Something was terribly wrong. That way, Leo shouted, pointing his flashlight deeper down the trail. They ran, the three of them. Athena, Leo, and Natalie followed streaks of blood smeared across dirt and roots, the zigzagging trail through the redwoods, until they nearly tripped over her. Athena knelt on the ground beside Mark's body, both hands shaking violently as she pressed down on his chest. Her clothes were soaked through with the blood. Heather, all three shouted at once. She whipped around, her eyes swollen and red, face twisted in raw panic. Where's Liam? She stammered. Where's Liam? Leo dropped beside Mark and pressed his hands down hard on the wound instinctively. Then he froze. Something was very wrong. Athena crouched next to Heather. What do you mean, where's Liam? She asked. We thought he was with you. Athena stared at her, shaking. Athena, weren't you calling for us? Athena blinked. What? You said it, Heather insisted. Where are you guys? You said it. I heard you. Athena's face drained of color, horrified. Heather. No, she said quietly. We were yelling your names. Liam's name. Heather's mouth fell open. Her heartbeat was pounding in her throat. Then what was that voice? Her eyes flicked across the three of them, terror encapsulating her face. If it wasn't you. Her breath buckled. Then what was calling out to us? And where's Liam? Silence crashed down around them. Then Mark's coughing worsened. Blood bubbled from his lips, each sound weaker than the last. Leo's hand slipped on the fabric, already soaked through. Stay with me, Leo whispered. Stay with me now. Mark, please. Heather grabbed Mark's hand in both of hers. Mark, look at me. Stay awake, please. Please stay awake. Mark gave a faint, broken smile. Guys, he whispered, words catching on blood. It's too late for me. Heather shook her head wildly. No, please don't. No, you need to get out of this forest, Mark choked. Before it's too... His words cut off. His chest rose once, then fell again, and it did not rise again. Heather froze. Leo froze. Athena's flashlight slipped from her hand, clattering softly against the dirt. Natalie covered her mouth, silently sobbing. Mark's eyes glazed, fixed on the canopy above. The forest held its breath. No one moved. Heather broke the silence as she lunged forward, pressing her hands on Mark's chest as tears poured from her eyes. She leaned close, her mouth trembling near his ear, whispering under her breath. I liked you, Mark, she whispered, voice cracking. I should have said it sooner. I'm so sorry, tears falling from her. The words hung there, small, useless, devastating. Athena forced herself to inhale, to think, to move. Think logically. Her hands were shaking, but her voice stayed steady. Guys, we need to go now. Right now. If we stay here crying, we're sitting targets. We have to move. Heather snapped instantly. She lunged, grabbing Athena by her collar so hard he yanked her forward. Impact knocked Athena slightly off balance, her breath catching. How can you say that? Heather screamed, her voice cracking and sounding feral. Mark is dead. Liam's gone. You just want to leave? Athena stared at her stunned. Heather's face was twisted with grief and hysteria, mascara smeared, hair struck to her forehead with sweat. Her hand shook violently as she clutched Athena's shirt. You planned this, didn't you? Heather sobbed. You lured Liam away because you hated him. You were jealous of him, of his money, of his family. So you, her voice broke into a raw whine. You planned this whole thing, this whole trip. Athena blinked once. It was like a switch flipped inside of her. Her shock dissolved in a rage, pure control deadly. Are you actually stupid? Athena whispered, dangerously quiet. Heather flinched, but Athena didn't stop. That's the story you made up? That? After everything that just happened to us? She pried Heather's hands off her collar one finger at a time, then shoved them away from her. You think I dragged us out here to murder someone because of money? Athena's voice rose sharp, cracking with anger. For real, God, Heather. Sometimes you really are a dumb rich stereotype, even without the blonde hair. Heather looked physically struck. Her lips trembled. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Take that back, she whispered, shaking. No. Athena's voice was iron. Not when you accuse me of killing our friends. Not when you blame me because you can't handle what's happening. Heather broke completely. A choked sob ripped out of her chest. Natalie backed away, terrified by the shouting, hugging herself as trying to make her body smaller. Her glasses fogged from her breath. She wiped them with shaking fingers. Leo finally snapped, a sharp breath ripping out of his chest as fist clenched at his sides. Enough, he shouted. His voice boomed through the trees, echoing off the redwood trunks. He stepped between them, posture rigid, jaw clenched so tightly a muscle jumped in his cheek. We are not doing this, he said. Not now, not here. Whatever is in these woods, whatever torrents that outcome, most likely Liam wants us separated. Leo then flicked a glance back into the darkness for a moment. As he pointed down the trail, we are not giving it that. We get to the cars, and we leave now. Natalie's voice was barely a whisper, her hand shaking as she tugged herself, knees threatening to buckle. If only Conrad hadn't left. If only I'd gone with him. Her voice cracked. I knew something felt wrong. I knew it. Athena put a hand on Natalie's shoulder. We'll be okay, she said softly. Then louder. Let's go. Leo didn't wait. He turned and started to sprint down the trail toward the camp, his flashlight beam bouncing wildly across the back of the trees. Athena dragged Natalie with her, both sprinting to catch up. Heather, come on, Leo shouted. Heather hesitated. Her breath shook. She wiped her face, took a single weak step, and then a sound drifted from the darkness behind her, soft, almost familiar. Heather, don't leave me. Heather froze solid. Her heart dropped into her stomach. She knew that voice. Liam? She whispered, tears returning instantly. Liam, where are you? I can't see you. Say something. A sound answered her. Not a human sound. A rapid clicking bone-deep wrong that vibrated through Heather's chest and set her teeth buzzing. It echoed through the trees, the bouncing around her as it circled her. Heather's breath turned icy. Liam, she tried again, weaker. Are you hurt? Just talk to me. From far ahead, Athena screamed. Heather, come on, we have to get back to camp and leave now. It's not safe here. Heather's head snapped forward, staring at the three still sprinting along the trail. Heather, please, Natalie cried. Come on. Leo's voice thundered. Come on. Heather turned back toward the voice. Once more, one last time, her lip quivering. Liam, if that's really you, I'm sorry. Then she bolted. She sprinted harder than she ever had in her life before, branches whipping her face, lungs burning. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she gasped, stumbling toward the others. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that if that was you, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, she sobbed. Behind them where Mark's body lay. The creature unfolded itself from the shadows. Slowly, long claws scraped across Mark's chest, carving deliberate, almost curious streaks through cooling blood. It tilted its head, studying the humans fleeing between the trees, memorizing their shapes, their heat, their panic. Its lips curled as it tasted their heat signatures on the cold night air. And then it smiled. A low curl of its lipless jaws. Chapter 4. No exit. They tore through the trees, lungs burning, branches whipping their faces, and mud slicking their boots as flashlights jerked violently across the forest floor. The moment the campsite came into view, Leo sprinted ahead, practically diving for his backpack. I got the keys, he yelled, his voice cracking as relief and panic collided. He slung the bag over his shoulder and bolted towards the cars. Athena didn't hesitate. She rushed toward her own backpack, ripping it open and crawling for her phone. Clawing over and over again. Even though she already knew there'd be no service. Logic told her it was useless. Instinct won anyway. She grabbed it and ran. Natalie and Heather stumbled behind her, still shaking, desperate, half sobbing, barely keeping their feet under them. Leo stopped dead. Heather ran straight into his back. "What? Why did you—" she started, breathless. Then she saw it. Both cars, both of their cars, sunk low to the ground. Every tire, every single one, shredded, torn open, deflated to rubber ribbons. Heather slapped a hand over her mouth. Natalie's knees nearly buckled. Athena slowed, dread pricking up her spine, as she stepped closer and swept her flashlight over the damage. The cuts were not random, Athena could tell by the height of them. All at the same level, angled slightly inward deliberately rather than chaotic. They were long, clean, vertical gashes, too precise for a knife, too deep for a normal animal, too straight for a rock, too wide apart for any human tool. Deep slashes on each tire, claw marks, huge ones. Athena's throat closed. "It's been watching us," she whispered. "Ever since Connor left." "No. Before that." Chills ran down her spine. Leo swallowed hard, his flashlight trembling. "It saw him drive off," he said. "And when we left the campsite, it doubled back here. It knew these cars were our way out." He crouched, fingers hovering over the ruined rubber. "They're not punctured," he said quietly. "They're destroyed. We can't patch this. We can't drive like this." Natalie's voice cracked into a panic. "We have no cell service, no radios, no satellite signal." Her breath hitched. What do we do now?" Heather backed away from the car, shaking her head violently. No, no, no. This can't be happening. This isn't real." Athena pressed a hand to her forehead, forcing herself to breathe through the fear pounding behind her eyes. "It planned this," she murmured. "It waited for us to leave. It timed it. It knew exactly when to strike." Leo slowly turned toward the dark tree line where the forest had just gone unnaturally silent. The memory of that clicking sound seemed to crawl just beyond the edge of the light. The same tree line Mark had disappeared into. The same tree line Leah never returned from. His voice came out then, barely holding together. "It's hunting us." Athena forced herself to breathe, even though her lungs felt too full, her skin crawling. She lifted her flashlight, sweeping it across the slashed tires, the torn rubber, the deep claw marks. Then she straightened. "Okay, listen to me," she said, her voice steadying with each word. "Here's what we're gonna do." Leo and Natalie looked at her like she was the last strip of ground before a cliff. Heather was still crying, but she lifted her head. Athena continued, clipped and precise. "Leo, unlock the car. All of us run inside as fast as we can. Windows closed, doors locked, no gaps, no cracks, nothing, no sound." Natalie nodded fast, hugging herself. "Then what?" she whispered. "We hide," Athena said flatly. "We get low on the seats, stay out of sight. We don't know exactly what that thing can do, how far it can reach, how good its eyesight is, or what senses it has." She swallowed. "It's our only chance." She looked at the tires again. It stalked silently. "It's fast. It's smart." A beat passed. "And it planned this." "Just what's its level of intelligence does it have?" she questioned. Leo exhaled shakily, wiping his forehead with the back of his hand. "Right. Hiding. Good plan. Great plan." He fumbled the keys from his pocket, nearly dropping them. Okay. Get ready." He pressed the unlock button. The car chirped. A small metallic beep that cut through the silence like a scream. All four flinched. "Go!" Leo whispered harshly. He sprinted to the driver's side. Athena grabbed Natalie by the wrist, dragging her toward the back door. Heather stumbled behind them, getting into the passenger seat. Breath hitching, sneakers skidding on pine needles. They piled inside, doors slamming, locks snapping down instantly. Click. The interior lights went out. Darkness swallowed them. Only Athena's flashlight dimmed and angled toward the floor, painted their faces in a weak, trembling glow. "Get down," she whispered. "Everyone stay low." They folded into the footwells in the narrow spaces between the seats. Hearts pounding so loudly it felt like the car itself might hear. Natalie pressed her sleeve to her mouth to keep from sobbing. Heather bit her knuckle until her jaw shook. Leo crouched with his forehead against the steering wheel, shoulders trembling. Athena lay flat, cheek against the cold floor, eyes fixated on the thin slice of window she could still see. Every insect screamed, "Do not move, do not breathe, do not make a sound." Outside, the forest was silent, too silent. Even the night insects had gone quiet, as if the woods were listening. Leo's breathing rasp barely clenched. "Athena!" he whispered. "Kill the flashlight now!" She switched it off instantly. Darkness collapsed in on them. Then a sound. A low, deep growl rolled from the trees. Not a bear's growl, not a mountain lion. Something heavier, something bigger, something more deadly. Something with a chest cavity the size of a refrigerator. Heather clapped both hands over her mouth. A silent scream trapped behind her palms. Outside, reflected faintly in the dull sheen of the car's metal. Something moved, slow, deliberate, circling. Tap, tap, tap. Then all of a sudden, long claws brushed against the other car, dragging along its side. Metal whispered under the pressure, scratching, testing. The thing moved closer, so close that its breathing fogged the back window. A pale boom of condensation spread across the glass with each slow, patient exhale. Then the side of its face slid into view against the window, close enough that they could feel it, its gaze angling downward. Natalie froze. It sees me, she whispered, voice splintering. Athena grabbed her wisp, grounding her, forcing stillness. Then the creature backed away, a single step, lowered its head, and pressed its claws gently against the glass. Tap, tap, tap. Each sound came harder than the last, measured, learning. The window flexed with a soft, sickening creak. No one breathed. No one moved. Then the creature drew its arm back. Athena's eyes widened. Move! She tried to whisper. Shatter! The claws punched straight through the window, exploding inward. Glass became a store of light, slicing through the air. Heather screamed. Natalie fell backwards, scrambling, hands slipping on the seat. Leo threw up his arms, shielding his face as the creature's limb thrashed blindly through the opening. Searching, grasping, hunting. Go, Athena screamed. Leo shot upright and slammed his palm onto both of the keys. Beep, beep. Both cars erupted with alarms, sirens shrieking through the forest. The creature recoiled violently, jerking back as if it was struck. Its head snapped toward the second vehicle. The heartbeat was all they needed. Run, Leo barked. Athena kicked her door open. Natalie scrambled over the seats and spilled onto the ground. Leo shoved his own door so hard it bounced back against the frame. Heather jumped out after him. They ran. Feet pounded dirt and roots as they sprinted toward a massive hollow redwood trunk, one wide enough for 4 people to squeeze inside. Hollow tree, Leo shouted. It can only fit 4. Run! Now! It can't get in there. Behind them, a shriek. Not an animal. Not human. Something ancient and furious tore through the night as the raptor-like creature leapt onto the roof of the car. Metal dented inward under its weight. The roof bowed with a grunt as it threw its head back and unleashed another ear-splitting screech. The 4 of them ran faster. Branches whipped their arms. Roots hooked their shoes. Breath burned cold and raw in their chests. The creature's head snapped toward them, then it froze. Its pupils contracted. A small shape waddled into the firelight by the campfire. A baby black bear. Heather sucked in a sharp, helpless breath. Natalie's hand flew to her mouth. A whispered, "No!" breaking apart before it formed. Athena's stomach dropped, a cold, sick weight settling in her chest, sniffing the air around her, curiously. The creature tilted its head, slowly, almost intrigued. It stepped away from the car. Each movement precise, predatory, and began stalking toward the bear. Athena, Leo, Natalie, and Heather didn't stop to watch. They dove straight into the hollow wood, huddling together, gasping for air, hearts pounding so violently the trees seemed to thump with each beat. Outside, the creature's claws clicked softly as it crept toward the bear. Heather put her hands over her ears. Natalie squeezed her eyes shut. Athena bit her lips so hard she tasted blood. Leo whispered, "Don't make a sound." The forest went quiet. Too quiet. Then a single soft whimper from the baby bear, followed by silence. The inside of the hollow redwood was cramped, enough that all 4 of them had to twist sideways just to fit. Bark scraped their backs. Sap stuck to their hair and clothes. The floor was damp, smelling of soil, decay, and cold wet moss. They could feel each other's shaking breaths, hot and frantic in the narrow space. Okay, can't see us," Heather whispered, panic crackling every syllable. Leo shook his head immediately, eyes wide, reflecting the faint glow leaking around Athena's fingers. "We better hope," he whispered. "We better hope it doesn't smell us, and that it got distracted by that bear cub long enough to—" Athena slapped her hand over his mouth. Click, 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 click. Slower now, spaced and deliberate, like it was counting. The sound slithered through the night, sharp, insect-fast, alien. It wasn't close. It wasn't far. It was circling around the tree. And this time it wasn't breathing hard at all. Natalie squeezed her eyes shut, her glasses fogging instantly as her breath shuddered against the lenses. Her chest felt too small for her lungs. Leo's heart hammered so loudly he was certain it would give them away. Each beat felt like a drum struck inside the hollow. It's circling, he thought. It's circling a tree and knows we're here. A deep rumbling sniff passed along the trunk, not searching, confirming. The sap vibrated. The bark trembled beneath their backs. Then, long claws scraped up against the outside of the redwood, dragging slow, deliberate grooves as if carving a message. Dust and bark rained down into the hollow, stinging their eyes and mouths, coating their tongues with bitterness. Heather clamped a hand over her mouth, shoulders shaking as she fought the urge to scream. The creature completed a full circle around the trunk. Slow and patient. Then it stopped, directly in front of the opening. They saw it. First a shadow, then the claws. 4 long hooked talons, each the length of a kitchen knife, descend into view, lowering one by one like a curtain being drawn shut. "It can't fit through here, right?" Heather whispered, tears slipping silently down her cheeks. No one answered. A sudden thud made all of them flinch. Something rolled across the dirt, bumped gently against the opening. A round shape, furry, small, a head. It was a baby black bear's head. Heather's scream died in her throat, strangled into nothing. Natalie's fingers dug into her own knees until pain bloomed white-hot. Leo felt his stomach turn as a bile crept up his throat. A low growl vibrated through the tree, so deep it felt like it came from the earth itself. Athena mouthed the words, barely forming them. "It's eating it." Then she saw. The creature's posture shifted, its silhouette changed, bones rearranging with soft wet clicks. It's on all fours, Athena whispered, horror draining the sound from her voice. The creature suddenly roared, a wet metallic sound like steel tearing through meat, that shook the hollow as if the tree itself were screaming. Then it struck the opening. Crack. 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 Bark exploded inward. Splinters shot through this cramped space like knives. Leo shielded Natalie with his body. Athena yanked Heather close to her, pressing her flat against the curved wall, and then its face appeared. First a snout, then the glossy golden violet eye, unblinking. Then the skull forced itself through the hole as the wood screamed and split around it. Its jaw opened. Rows of razor-sharp teeth glistened, still slick with blood and fur from the bear cub. It withdrew its head, only to shove an arm inside. The creature's limb snaked deep into the hollow, claws scraping blindly, curling, testing, searching for warmth. One talon hooked the ledge's belt. No, 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 no! Heather sobbed, fingers clawing desperately at the bark. The creature pulled, slow at first, testing the resistance, then harder. Heather's body slid across the bark floor. Athena grabbed her around the waist, bracing her boots against the trunk, muscle screaming. Heather, hold on, Athena shouted. Natalie hyperventilated, hands pressed to her mouth, vision tunneling. Leo's shaking hands dove into his backpack. He nearly dropped a knife when his fingers closed around it. A plain kitchen knife, dull, hopeless, but it was all they had. He sucked in a breath he didn't have, lifted the blade and screamed, "Let her go!" He slammed the knife down on the creature's hand. Thunk. The blade didn't pierce, didn't sink. It struck the creature's hide like hitting a tire. Dense, rubbery, wrong. The impact rang through the hull like metal and steel. Pain shot up Leo's arm as a vibration tore through his wrist. A thin white line appeared on the creature's skin. Just a scratch. The creature paused, studying, learning. Then snap. Its fingers flexed, and the creature yanked Heather out of the hull like she weighed nothing. She screamed, nails ripping uselessly through the bark and clawing desperately at the dirt, fingers scraping for anything to hold on to, feet kicking as she vanished from their grasp. Sucked on the tree like a rag doll from a pipe. Heather, Athena screamed, lunging forward, but Leo grabbed her jacket and pulled her back inside. Outside, Heather's screams ripped through the forest, high, raw, animal-like, that ended with a single horrible wet crunch. Silence followed. Only the creature's breathing remained, heavy, slow. Was it satisfied? Natalie sobbed quietly, rocking. Leo slammed his fist into the dirt until pain boomed. Athena stared at the opening, trembling, her mind finally forming. She couldn't stop. Where next? Chapter 5. The Wrong Shelter. A dull thud hit the forest floor just outside the wrong hollow. All three of them foes. Natalie clamped both hands over her mouth. Leo pressed his back flat against the inner wall of the redwood. Athena leaned forward a fraction of an inch, heart pounding so violently her ribs hurt. Then, the creature lowered its massive head. They could see it. The side of its skull slid into view, framed by jagged opening of the hollow. Its glossy eye drifted across the inside of the trunk, and stopped. Dead on Athena. It didn't look at Leo. It didn't look at Natalie. Only her. Athena's breath hitched. Her fingers dug into the bark. Athena's breath caught. Leo stared at her, then back at the creature, then her again, his expression twisting into suddenly terrified and confused. The creature's nostrils flared. Blood dripped from its teeth, thick and dark, pattering softly onto the dirt. Then, slow and deliberate, it rose onto two legs. Towering above the opening, its chest expanded, and it unleashed a long, high-pitched screech that drilled straight through their bones. Natalie trembled so violently that her glasses slid down her nose. The creature stepped back. Branches shattered under its weight. They heard it pick something up, a wet dragging sound. Natalie's voice cracked into a whisper. It's taking her corpse. Tears poured down her face. The sound grew fainter as the creature carried Heather away. Then silence. Athena slowly turned her head towards Leo. He was already looking at her. Athena, he whispered, breath trembling. It's after you. Specifically you. She flinched, her stomach dropping. It's been targeting you since the beginning, Leo said. Every time, every moment, it was watching you. It wanted you. That realization hit all of them like a physical blow. Natalie hugged her knees, sobbing quietly. Athena stared blankly at the bark, trying to understand, mind spinning. Leo exhaled shakily. Most of us are dead because of you, he said quietly. Angry, terrified. What did you do, Athena? Why does it want you? She whipped her head toward him. I don't know, Leo. I don't know anything about that thing. I've never seen it in my entire life. Leo shook his head, eyes filled with a mix of fear and resentment. You don't understand how angry I am right now, he said flatly. I'm so angry. I just want to throw you out of this trunk and let it take you. If it would spare us. If it would end this nightmare. That thought crossed my mind. Natalie gasped softly. Athena stared at him stunned. He went on, voice breaking. But I would never. He said quietly. You're my friend, just like Natalie, just like the others. He swallowed, and even if it got you, the chances it'd let us go are zero. This thing, he hesitated. It enjoys the hunt. The fear. It enjoys this. It plays with us. It's a sadist. The realization hit all their faces. Athena's face went blank. She thought, he'd really throw me out just like that if it meant he lived. And yet, I didn't do anything, she whispered. I don't even know this dinosaur thing. Why would it want me? She looked up at Theo. Leo. Yeah, he muttered. You really are cruel, you know that, she said quietly. You piece of shit. He shut his eyes, jaw clenching. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I'm scared, Athena. I want to live, and right now it feels like the only reason we're dying is because of something connected to you. Athena looked away. Well, she said bitterly, I don't know if that makes me feel better or worse. She took a breath. But this thing is after me. That much is clear, and I don't know why. I've never seen it. I've never heard of anything like it. She hesitated. But if I had to guess, if there's any connection at all, she swallowed. There's only one thing that comes to mind. Leo leaned closer, tense. What? Athena opened her mouth, then closed it. Her jaw tightened for a moment. It looked like she might not say it at all. My father. Leo's eyes widened, and a rush thoughts collided. Her father is always gone. He never talks about work. He disappears for days, weeks. She doesn't even know what he does for a living. Her mom doesn't either. And now her creature is telling her specifically? No way. No way her father is connected to them. That company. That's impossible, isn't it? Yet nothing about tonight followed the rules of possibility. Natalie whispered, barely audible. Could her dad be connected to it somehow, she questioned. All three of them stared at each other in the cramped dark hollow. Natalie was shaking so hard she could barely breathe. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I don't want to die, she whispered over and over like a broken record, her hand shaking uncontrollably as her breath came shallow and uneven. Athena grabbed her shoulders gently, forcing her to look up. Natalie, hey, look at me, she whispered. We are getting out of here, all of us. We're not dying tonight. Leo nodded. Though his face was pale and tight with fear. She's right, he said. We just need a plan, and daylight. Sunrise is our best chance. Natalie sniffled, wiping her face with trembling fingers. Where are the rangers, then? She questioned. Where? Shouldn't they be here already? She asked, with all screaming and everything. Leo's jaw tightened. Good question, he muttered. Athena answered quietly. We're over a mile and a half in. You saw that trail twist. Sounds travel weird here. And if no one's reporting us missing yet, or if something's blocking signals, she swallowed. Then they might have no idea what's happening. Suddenly a faint rumble drifted through the trees. Not an animal, not footsteps, an engine! Natalie's head snapped up. Is that a truck? She whispered. The rumble grew louder. Headlights sliced through the forest like twin suns, washing over the ruins campsite. The shredded tires, the torn tents, the blood-smeared ground. No way, Athena breathed. Natalie shot to her feet. Oh my god, a ranger! Natalie, don't! Athena hissed. Natalie, wait, Leo whispered urgently. But Natalie was already running. The truck screeched to a sudden halt, tires skidding on dirt. Chapter 6. False Salvation. The headlights washed across the forest, engine rumbling low, heat pouring off the beams, catching the edge of the hollow redwood for half a second before swinging back. The ranger, a stoic man in his 40s with a thick jacket, broad shoulders, muscular but not overly defined, and sky-blue eyes. He had a flashlight in one hand and a radio clipped to his shoulder, jumped out of the vehicle with urgency. He barely had time to shut the door before Natalie slammed into him, sobbing uncontrollably. Please, please help us. It's killing us, please. Natalie sobbed, clutching the front of his jacket as her knees barely buckled, collapsing against him. The ranger steadied her at once, hands firm but gentle. His eyes widened as he took in the blood smeared across her clothes, the dirt grounded in her knees, the raw terror carved into her face. Hey, slow down, he said, calm, but alarmed. What happened? Where are your friends? Are you hurt? Are there animals nearby? Natalie pointed wildly toward the tree line. It killed Mark. And Liam. And Heather, too. Something's out there. There's something hunting us. Please, you have to help us. Her voice collapsed into sobs. Liam and Athena emerged carefully from behind the hollow redwood, moving toward the truck, but never taking their eyes off the forest. Every step was measured. Every shadow felt wrong. The ranger's brows knit together. He reached for the radio on his shoulder. Dispatch, this is Ranger Holloway. I've got multiple injured juveniles. Possible wildlife attack? The radio answered with nothing but static. Holloway frowned, jaw tightening as he glanced instinctively toward the tree line. Damn it, interference again. Athena froze. Again? She whispered. Ranger Holloway crouched at Natalie's level, forcing her attention back to him. Okay, he said steadily. I need you to breathe. Are there any others? Where did you last see your friends? Did you encounter a bear, a cougar, anything? Leo shook his head hard. It's not a bear, he said. It's not a cat, it's... He stopped. Leo's throat tightened. How do you explain something that should not exist? Athena stepped forward. It's big, she said. Fast, smart, it stalked us for hours. It killed our friends, and is still here. The ranger studied them closely. He didn't believe everything, but he believed enough. He saw the blood. He saw the shaking hands. He saw the fear that didn't come from imagination. All right, Holloway said quietly. All of you, get behind me. Stay low. My truck's radio has a longer range. We'll call this in. Just stay. He stopped. Leo's face drained of color. Natalie's sobbing cut off into a thin, silent breath. Athena felt the air in her lungs turn to ice. Behind the ranger's truck, just outside the reach of the headlight, between the trees, a shape interrupted the light. An absence where the headlight should have been. Then something moved. Slow, deliberate, Holloway hadn't seen it yet. The engine idled behind him, the headlights humming, insects scattering into frantic arcs through the beams. But the teens had a massive silhouette, slender and long-limbed, with a neck too flexible and a tail dragging softly across pine needles. It stepped forward once, silent, deliberate, just enough for the headlights to catch the faint wet sheen of his teeth. Athena whispered, barely moving her lips, "Ranger Holloway?" He turned his head slightly confused. "What is it?" Natalie lifted a shaking hand and pointed, her finger barely steady enough to aim. Holloway finally looked toward the trees. His flashlight beam flicked on, and suddenly froze mid-step. Leo's breath slipped out in a thin whisper. "It's been here the whole time." He swallowed hard, voice trembling. "Waiting for us to come out of that damn tree." Athena's stomach dropped. The creature took one slow, heavy step forward, its claws curling into the dirt. Holloway's face went pale, his eyes widening. "Everyone," he said, voice tightening, "get behind me, now!" Training took over. His breath slowed, stance winding as muscle memory snapped into place. Holloway reached down to his belt in one sharp practice motion. Click! The Glock came up fast, steady despite the tremor creeping into his hands. His patrol rifle was locked in the rack inside the truck, but he didn't dare take his eyes off the thing in front of him. "What the hell?" he whispered. The creature advanced another step, golden violet eyes fixed on the three teens behind him. Holloway's grip tightened. "What is that thing?" Leo swallowed. Some kind of dinosaur." Holloway nearly choked. No way unless... His thoughts collided all at once. That damn cloning corporation. The one that brought back the mammoths in 2000. The same company is drowning in ethic lawsuits. Tech that should never exist. "Those greedy bastards," Holloway muttered. "They made you." The creature tilted its head, almost amused. Holloway squared his shoulders. "Time to put you back into extinction." He fired. Bang, 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 bang. The shots detonated through the forest, then the cracking off redwood trunks. Each round struck with a heavy, dull thud. The skin absorbed the bullets like rubberized armor. Sparks jumped off keratin plating. Flattened slugs dropped to the dirt like coins. A few embedded shallowly. Pebbles pressed into the mud. The creature didn't bleed. It didn't flinch. Once. Then it turned its head toward Holloway, slow, irritated. Not hurt, not afraid, just annoyed. "Oh, hell," Holloway whispered. He fired again. Bang, bang. Clicked. The slide locked back, empty. "Shit!" He staggered, fumbling for a spare magazine as the creature stepped closer, a low rumble vibrating the ground. Leo grabbed Natalie and Athena, yanking them further. "Ranger, run!" Athena screamed, but Holloway didn't. Not yet. He slammed the fresh magazine back in. Clack! And raised the gun. Too slow. The creature moved in a blur of muscle claws and pale eyes. Thump, thump, thump. Each step shook the clearing. "Ranger, move!" Athena screamed. Holloway fired twice. Bang, bang. Useless. Click. Empty. Oh, God. Leo saw it then. The distance is closing. The Glock is worthless. Holloway cornered. "The rifle!" Holloway shouted. "The rifle!" The truck was 10 feet away, headlights blazing. The patrol AR was locked inside. Leo ran. Fear drowned out thought. Tunnel vision swallowed the world until there was only the truck, the rifle, and the pounding command that said, "Move or die." "Athena, Natalie, stay down!" He sprinted. Boots skidding on pine needles, lungs burning. The creature lunged. Holloway dove as a claw missed his spine by inches, gouging a trench in the dirt. "Hey!" Leo yelled. The creature's head snapped towards him. "No, Leo, run!" Holloway shouted. Leo didn't stop. He ripped open the passenger door, clack, and lunged inside. Cold metal brushed his fingers. The rifle, still locked, behind him. The creature snarled, low vibrating the truck frame. Athena screamed, "Leo!" Holloway fired his final round. Bang! The bullet clipped the creature's jaw. It turned furious. Leo yanked harder at the rifle. "Come on, come on!" The creature whipped his tail. Doom! Metal screamed as the truck rocked sideways. Tires lifting off the ground. "Leo, get out of there!" Athena shrieked. Leo ignored Athena completely. His hearing narrowed to a dull ring, breath locking in his chest. His eyes locked onto the rifle lying across the passenger seat, half on the floorboard, knocked loose when the creature slammed into the truck. The AR-15. The only thing left in the world that was collapsing around him. His only chance of survival. He lunged inside the truck, glass crunching under his palms as he grabbed the weapon with both hands. But before he could pull it free, thunk, thunk, thunk. The claws punched straight through the hood. Each impact bending steel like wet cardboard. Holloway screamed from outside, "Boy, run! That rifle's not going to save you!" Leo's grip tightened until his knuckles went pale. "I don't give a damn! I don't care!" he shouted back, voice cracking apart. The rifle snagged the torn seat fabric and shattered glass as he dragged it toward himself, muscles screaming with effort. Holloway's voice came again, raw with fear. "Leo, listen to me, that thing doesn't fear guns!" Leo froze, not because of Holloway, because the creature was now staring straight at him. eyes locked on. It climbed halfway up the hood, massive shoulders rising and falling as its claws sank inches into the metal with casual ease. Its long snout hovered just above the broken windshield frame. Hot breath fogged the remaining shards of glass. In its eyes, for a heartbeat there was only a pressure in the air, the sense of being measured. Then, unnatural, luminous, burning with a cold intelligence locked on Theo. It lifted one claw, tapped the frame, tap, then a pause. Tap once again, the same way it had tapped the window before, testing, studying, learning. The windows, the bells, the bark, what failed and what resisted. Leo swallowed hard. "Oh shit," he whispered. The creature's mouth curled back, exposing layers of rows of serrated teeth. Holloway shouted, "Leo, get down!" It then reared back, as it slammed its full weight into the truck. Thoom! The roof buckled. Metal screamed. The entire vehicle lurched sideways, nearly flipping. Leo was hurled across, the rifle skidding from his grip. He smashed into the passenger door so explosively that stars exploded across his eyes. Outside, Holloway fired in a blind desperation. Bang, 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 bang. Each round struck with a hollow thud, rippling the creature's hide without breaking it. "Athena, move!" Leo coughed, reaching blindly for the rifle again. But the creature wasn't interested in the truck anymore. Leo felt it before he saw it. The cold drop in his stomach, the instinctive certainty that something terrible had just happened. It turned. Slowly, purposefully, until its face, those predatory eyes locked onto Athena. The creature tilted its head and started walking towards her. One step, another, slow and deliberately. Each footfall makes the ground tremble. Athena froze for half a second, then screamed and stumbled backward before breaking into a run towards the trail. "Athena, run!" Leo shouted. Holloway moved. He sprinted to Leo, ripped the AR from his shaking hands, and shouldered in one fluid motion. Born of training and survival, he spun just in time. The creature raised his arm, claws spread wide, ready to carve Athena in half. "Hey!" Holloway roared. "Over here!" The creature paused for a moment. That was all the ranger needed. He pulled the trigger as he slowly stepping forward. Muzzle flashed toward the darkness apart, lighting the entire campground in violent white bursts, heat washing over Holloway's hands as the sharp bite of gunpowder filled the air. The sound was deafening. Gunfire cracking its redwood trunks like a thunder trapped in a canyon. Rounds ripped into the creature's back, shoulders, and flank. Dud, dud, dud. Each impact landed with a wet, meaty slap. Bullets striking living armor. Tiny sprays of dark, vicious fluid burst out with more like oil mist than blood, catching the headlights before evaporating into dirt. The creature staggered. For half a heartbeat, Holloway felt hope surge in his chest. Then it died. Not from pain. From irritation. It snapped its head around, eyes narrowing, lips peeling back to reveal rows of straight teeth as a deep, fierce snarl rolled from his chest. Holloway kept firing, boots sliding backward as he shouted over the gunfire, "Get away from her! Keep moving! Keep moving!" Athena ran blind, tears streaming as she sprinted, lungs burning, breath hitching with every step. Behind her. Clack! The rifle went silent. The bolt locked back. Empty. Holloway swallowed hard, smoke curling from the barrel as he stared at the thing he had just emptied a magazine into. The creature fully turned toward him, chest rising, shoulders tightening. A low, vibrating growl rolled through the forest. Wrong, ancient, too deep to belong to anything that should exist. Leo shouted from the truck, "Ranger, run now! Run!" Holloway didn't move. His hands trembled, but he kept his stance, gripping the useless rifle like it still mattered. "You want her?" he growled, voice shaking but defiant. "You'll have to go through me first." The creature answered with a soft clicking sound, sharp, insect-like. The same testing cadence it had used on the glass bark and bone, layered with something eerily close to a child's whisper. Holloway froze. What the hell? The creature lowered its stance, muscles coiled, eyes locked. It chose him. It marked him. Holloway raised the rifle like a club, knuckles white. "That's it," he whispered. Come on, come face me." The creature inhaled sharply through its nostrils, a wet serpentine sound. Then it launched like a missile. An engineered predation exploded forward, the ground shaking under the impact. Holloway braced. Too late. The creature hit him in the center mass. Claws punched through fabric and flesh as its weight drove him backward in a blur. The rifle flew from his hands as he was slammed to the hood of his own vehicle, metal crunching and folding beneath them both. Holloway screamed, a sound ripped from pure instinct, pain, terror, defiance, cut short as the creature's jaws clamped onto his shoulder. Teeth drove through muscle, bone cracked, fabric tore. Final. Athena saw it in flashes. Holloway's boots are kicking. His hands were clawing at the feature's face, blood arcing all across his body, the windshield in thin red bread sprays. Leo saw it too, but he saw something else. The keys, still dangling from ignition. He dove. Sliding across the dirt, Leo yanked the driver's door open and threw himself inside, slamming it shut with his shoulder. His breath came fast and shallow. Natalie scrambled in after him, sobbing, gripping the doorframe with white-knuckled hands. "Athena, get in!" Leo screamed, his voice torn apart. Athena sprinted behind her. Holloway's screams cut off abruptly, like a switch flipped. His ruined body hit the dirt with a wet thump. The creature lifted its head, jaws slick with blood, and looked straight at Athena. That grin, too wide, too human-like, the same grin she had felt on her since the beginning, like the force wanted her dead. It spread slowly across its snout. Pleased by her fear, it looked like. Athena stumbled backward toward it. Its chest heaved, pupils narrowed, a low growl rolled deep enough that she felt it vibrate through her ribs. Leo screams for her. Get in the car now! Athena bolted. The creature dropped to all fours and bounded after her, landing beside the vehicle in a single thunderous motion. Its claws curled beneath the frame, its eyes flicked downward. It knew exactly what mattered. The creature slashed once, violent and precise. Pop! The back tire left exploded, shredded instantly. Rubber peeled off in strips, flinging outward like torn skin. Leo's voice cracked. What the hell was that? The tire, Athena screamed as she yanked the passenger door open and threw herself inside. It slashed the tire! Leo didn't wait for her seatbelt. He slammed the SUV in a drive. The engine roared. The creature lunged, one claw raking the rear bumper as the car lurched forward. Metal shrieked. Go, go, go! Drive, Leo, drive! Natalie cried, curling in a tight seat like she couldn't make herself smaller than the nightmare. Leo fought the wheels as the SUV fishtailed in the dirt. Gravel sprang in a violent arc. The ruined tire flapped against the rim. Each slap, a countdown. They surged forward. Behind them, a shadow broke into a sprint. Leo caught it in the shattered rearview mirror. The creature, chasing on all fours, long limbs scissoring through the dark, claws biting into the earth like blades. It was fast. Too fast. It's gaining, Natalie shrieked. Of course it's gaining. Leo yelled back, panic fraying his voice as he wrenched the steering wheel to keep the SUV from skidding off the trail. We're basically driving on three wheels. The car bounced over ruts and roots. Every bump made the rim slam the ground. Clang, clang, clang. Leo see the rattle from it. It's losing traction fast, he choked, their breath stuttering. Back left's practically gone, there's no grip. Athena twisted the ground, bracing one hand against the headrest so she didn't get thrown sideways. She shoved her flashlight through the scattered window and back, its beam jittering in sick frantic sweeps, and it caught the creature's eyes, shiny as reflective marvels. It let out a shrill, jagged screech that ripped straight through the night, vibrating inside their skulls. The creature leapt. It closed another 10 feet in a single bound. It's gonna catch us. Natalie screamed, pulling her knees to her chest. Shut up! Don't say that! Leo snapped, knuckles on the wheel. Don't you dare say that! The road twisted sharply left. Leo yanked the wheel. The SUV fishtailed so hard, it almost tipped over. The creature lunged, claws scraping the rear door, thin gouges shrieking across the metal as sparks burst into the air. Athena screamed. Leo stomped the gas. The engine howled in protest. The creature stumbled for a split second from the sudden sharp turn, just enough for Theo to steal a few feet of distance. Then Athena saw it, through the trees, a faint orange glow, high off the ground. A ranger tower, she shouted, pointing her head, barely visible between the trunks. A wooden structure rising above the canopy, 2 to 3 stories high at least, with a rotating amber beacon glowing at the top, its lights cutting weakly through the trees like a fragile promise that they deserve. Chapter 7. The height meant nothing. We can make it, Leo yelled, knuckles whitening on the wheel as his breath ripped out of his chest. Can we? Natalie cried, her voice shaking uncontrollably. A shrill, tearing sound ripped through the trees, metallic layered wrong. The creature screeched again and sprint picked up speed, this time even faster than before, its form blurring between trees as it angled off the road, cutting the intercept. It's flanking us, Athena yelled. Leo stomped the accelerator. The SUV roared, the frame rattling as the ruined tire shredded further. The car buckled and jolted violently. Thump, thump, clang. The ring was now exposed. Every rotation sent a shower of sparks hissing behind them. Leo, the wheel's gonna come off, Athena shouted. We just need a couple more, he yelled back. Trees blurred by in the darkness. The creature burst from the right side of the forest, just missing the passenger door by inches, and skidded across the road before regaining footing, snapping the branches with his tail. He's trying to cut us off, Natalie shrieked. No shit, Leo barked. He swerved left, barely staying on the road, the car vibrating like it was about to explode. The creature returned instantly and gave chase again, still gaining. Athena looked ahead. The ranger tower was getting close. An elevated wooden platform with a narrow stairway spiraling up its side, lights blazing just out of reach, maybe a little over 100 yards down. Leo, straight ahead. Keep going. I see it, he responded. The creature shrieked and surged forward one last time, and just as its claws raked the rear bumper again, Leo swerved up onto the gravel turn-in. The creature slipped on the loose stone, losing momentum for a second, just 1 second, but it was good enough. Leo floored the gas. The SUV jolted, bounced, screamed against the dirt, and screeched to a stop at the base of the ranger tower. The tire completely came off, completely ruined, as a metallic thunk as the rim collapsed into the dirt. The engine hissed. Steam rose. They made it. For a single breath, relief flooded in their lungs, burning, hands shaking, night holding still as if they had missed them by a couple inches. Athena burst out of the passenger door, legs trembling. Natalie sobbed with relief. Leo leaned forward, his forehead against the steering wheel, gasping. We made it. We made it. We made it. A sound cut him off. A low clicking measured almost curious. From somewhere in the dark, not far, the clicking echoed low through the trees, soft, deliberate, and patient. Athena's stomach dropped. Before she could even speak, the tower door above slammed wide open. Two rangers burst out onto the platform, one older with hazel green eyes with a heavy-set gray in his beard, the other younger, muscular, whose eyes were sharp as already raising his rifle. But both froze when they saw the kid sprinting toward the base of the tower. The older one shouted, "Hey, over here, move!" Leo, Natalie, and Athena bolted toward the ladder. "It's chasing us," Athena screamed, her voice breaking. "It killed them all. It even killed Holloway, and it's right behind us." Both rangers stiffened. The younger one swore under his breath, "Jesus Christ, Holloway's dead?" Then they saw the SUV. The rear left tire shredded into ribbons. The rim bent and scorched from heat and friction. The metal still glowed faintly from sparks. Something big had done that. Something deliberate. Rage and fear twisted across the older ranger's face. "Kids, up now!" he barked. Natalie scrambled up onto the first wooden steps, feet slipping on the worn planks. Athena shoved her upward, then took the steps two at a time just behind her. Leo followed fast, breath tearing from his lungs, looking back every second. At the top, the younger ranger grabbed Natalie by the arm and hauled her onto the platform. The older ranger reached down, yanking Athena up. Then Leo. "Inside! Go! Now!" The kid stumbled into the office tower, still gasping, still shaking. The ranger stayed outside on the catwalk. Both rifles were up. Both are scanning the dark clearing below. The ranger hissed, barely moving his lips. "What exactly is coming?" Athena tried to answer, words tumbling over each other. "It's big, fast, a little over 30 feet, I think, like a raptor, but worse, it's been hunting us, learning, testing." He lifted a hand, trying to calm her. "It's okay. Don't worry, you're safe now. It's all right. Just breathe." Leo shouted from her binder, voice cracking. "It killed Mark. It killed Heather. It killed Liam and Holloway. It's real." The older ranger didn't look back. He stared into the black wall of trees, shoulders squared, jaw tight. "I hear it," he said. A faint rustle, then nothing. Then, click, click, click. This sound rolled across the clearing. Measured, patient. The younger ranger tense, movement at the tree line. Athena's throat closed. "Is it?" The older ranger didn't blink. "It's here," he said. "And whatever it is," his grip tightened on the scoped rifle, "it followed you all the way." The clearing went dead still. Moonlight barely touched the edges of the tree line. Then insects scattered and the wind seemed to die. A shape broke through the shadow. Tall, long, loping forward on all fours with slow, predatory confidence. The younger ranger sucked in a sharp breath, loud enough that Athena heard it from the inside the tower. His eyes went wide. "What the fuck is that?" the older ranger whispered, his voice low and horrified. "That," the younger ranger stammered, gripping his rifle tighter. "That looks like a damn dinosaur. What else could it be?" The older ranger shook his head slowly, throat bobbing as he swallowed. No, that ain't no dinosaur. I don't remember any fossil looking like it. Or hell, any movie. Even that dinosaur movie never made something this ugly." He let out a shaky exhale. "That thing looks like a monster, something a kid drew up. Just what the hell is that thing?" Both men stiffened at the same moment, grips tightening, neck hair rising, arms prickling, as he kept walking forward, slow and deliberate, like it knew they were trapped above it. The creature tilted its head. Blood dripped from the corner of his jaws. Its reflective eyes tracked their movements from unsettling intelligence. The older ranger clenched his teeth. "This piece of shit is gonna die for Holloway," he hissed. The younger ranger spat over the railing. "I agree. You don't kill rangers on our watch." They raised their rifles in unison. "Send this mofo back to the past where it belongs," the younger ranger muttered, bracing his stance. The older ranger shook his head again, almost laughing at the absurdity, even through fear. "I can't believe this thing is real. If I wasn't staring straight at it, I wouldn't believe a damn word those kids said." He leveled his scope rifle at the creature's chest. The younger ranger raised his rifle, finger trembling on the trigger. Moonlight glinted off the creature's teeth as it crept closer, claws carving soft lines into the dirt. His chest rose slowly. It clicked once, a familiar sound. Measured, deliberate, then twice, testing the air the way it had been before. "Fire," the old ranger said, calm, steady, and unreal. Both rifles cracked at once. The sniper rifle shot first. Thoom! A deep, violent blast punched through the clearing. The round struck the creature square in the back of its upper shoulder, just missing the dense armor scoots along its arm. A sound like a sledgehammer slamming in soaked meat. The creature lurched sideways, flesh rippling, a dark spray of blood fanning out from behind its misty arm. For a split second, Athena thought it had lost balance. The older ranger mumbled, "If it bleeds, we can kill it." The young ranger nodded with a smile. Then the air opened up. The creature began running in a sharp zigzag toward the tower. Short bursts stitched across its ribcage, small impacts popping against its hide, some sparking, others tearing thin lines. More flecks of blood sprayed out, flickering red in the moonlight. The creature's war split the night, a real war, deep, violent, irritated, and pained. The sniper rune had heard it. For a moment the creature's chest heaved, its stance dropping, its eyes narrowing as if it was thinking. Hit it again, the younger ranger shouted. The older ranger racked the bolt, shoulders tense, lining it for a second shot, but the creature straightened, slowly, impossibly. It rolled its injured shoulder, dark blood sliding down its side in slow, syrupy sheets. Then its jaw tightened. The corners of its mouth twitched. Then tension pulled slowly and deliberately across its face, until it looked up as if it smiled. Its lips peeled back into that horrible, too-human grin, revealing rows of jagged teeth stained black with Holloway's blood. The older ranger murmured, "That's no dinosaur. That's the devil." The young ranger's breath hitched. "How is it still?" The creature cut him off with a soft rhythmic clicking. Click, 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 click. Like a child tapping his tongue against his teeth. Then it stepped forward. Deliberate, unflinching, almost amused. The older ranger swallowed hard. "Reload," he whispered. The young ranger lifted his rifle again, his voice shaking. "Sir, that thing's pissed." The creature lowered its body, muscles coiling, ready to charge. Then the clicking stopped. For one long second, it only stared up at them, its glossy eyes reflecting the tower's lights. Then its muscles bounced. For a split second, the forest went unnaturally quiet. Like again, no insects, no wind, just a soft creak of stressed wood holding its breath. "Get ready," the old ranger barked. The creature sprinted forward. Not a run, a launch. It tore across the clearing with impossible speed, claws shredding earth, tail knifing the air behind it. Boom! It slammed into the tower. The entire structure jolted like it had been hit by a truck. The catwalk rattled, with screaming as stress rippled through every joint. Inside the cabin, Natalie shrieked and dropped to her knees. Athena grabbed the desk to keep from falling. Leo slammed shoulder first into the wall, and breath knocked clean out of him. "Shit!" the younger ranger shouted, nearly losing its footing. The creature backed up, claws carving trenches in the dirt. Then it charged again. Boom! And there was a loud crack. The tower swayed violently, a support beam groaned, fibers splitting under the strain. "You kids stay down," the older ranger shouted, bracing himself against the railing. "We'll keep it off you." Athena crawled forward despite herself, heart hammering. Leo grabbed her wrist. "Athena, don't!" "I'm not going out there," she snapped. "I'm making sure we're not about to collapse." Below them, the creature snarled. Foam and blood sprang from its jaws and ran the tower for a third time. This time, the thud was even louder, and an even louder crack. A beam split. Splinters rained down, and the tower leaned a few degrees, then groaned back into place. "That thing's gonna knock us over," Natalie cried. The younger ranger raised his rifle and fired a full burst downward. Rounds hammered into the creature's back and spine, most sparking or flattening against the dense armored scutes. It roared, furious, insulted. Then it dug its claws into the tower's support. "No, no, what is it doing?" Athena breathed. For a heartbeat, no one understood what it was doing. Then the realization hit. The creature started climbing. Claws punched deep into wood. Hind limbs hooked around beams. Its tail swung, correcting balance with eerie precision. "No way," Leo whispered. "No way it can climb. No way." "Oh, it sure can," the older ranger muttered, chambering another round. "I've seen cougars climb, bears climb. This thing's got both beat. This thing's beaten everything I've seen." The shot ripped into the creature's side. Dark blood spilled, staining the wood beneath it. The creature shrieked and slipped for half a second. Then its claws sank deeper. Anchored, it kept climbing. Higher, closer. The younger ranger's voice cracked. "Sir, if it reaches the platform—" "I know," the older ranger snapped. The tower rocked again as the creature tested its weight. Inside the cabin, the kids huddled together. Athena gripped Leo's sleeve so tightly her nails cut into his skin. Then the creature's head rose into view over the edge of the catwalk. Eyes locked with the younger ranger. Its jaw tightened first, muscles bunching, lips trembling, before they peeled back into a grin so wide the skin stretched unnaturally around the jaw. "Oh, God!" the young ranger whispered. The creature lunged upward, arms reaching. Athena screamed. Hold, the young ranger muttered. Eyes pressed the scope, waiting for the angle. The creature surged again, teeth bared, claws raking the air. "Take it," the young ranger shouted. The blast rocked the platform, but the shot went wide. The round cracked past the creature's jaw. The sound alone made it recoil, twisting awkwardly. Its claws scraped desperately. A beam split, and the creature lost its grip. It fell. Over 30 feet of mass slammed into the clearing with a bone-jarring thud that shook the tower from base to crown. Dust and dirt erupted into a choking wave. Inside, everything rattled. Maps, pens, radio, buzzing with aftershock. On the catwalk, the young ranger gasped. "You missed it, sir, you missed." "I know!" the older ranger barked, already cycling the bolt. "Didn't have a clean shot." Below them, the creature lay sprawled in the dirt. Still, no one breathed. "Did the fall kill it?" the younger ranger whispered. The body twitched. One slow, unnatural convulsion. Then a deep guttural click rolled from his throat, lower than before, vibrating the air. Slowly the creature rose, limbs shaking, but standing. It was still alive. "Impossible," the younger ranger whispered. "It should have broken its spine." The creature's head lifted first, nostrils flaring as it tasted the air. Then its eyes slid upward. Locked into Athena, every muscle in her body went rigid. She didn't blink. She didn't breathe. The creature wasn't looking at her like prey. It recognized her. Not as prey, not as territory, but as something it had been searching for. As if she did something to it. Leo's voice broke through the silence, burdened with panic. One or two more hits and this tower's gone. We're dead if it charges again. Where are the other rangers? What do we do? Chapter 8. The Last Mile. Ranger Ortiz, the older, broad-shouldered veteran, didn't break his stare from the monster below. The first hits had already knocked out our radio. The whole comm system fried. Nobody's coming. He pointed toward the tree line where two pale shapes sat in the darkness. Two ranger trucks. That's our only shot. We get down there, we get into those vehicles, and we run. Keaton, the younger ranger, swallowed hard. His hand shook as he reloaded his rifle. Ortiz shoved the spare rifle into Leo's chest. Time to toughen up, young man. I don't care how scared you are. It's more scared of your aim than your nerves. Leo nodded, but his hands visibly trembled around the gun's grip. He looked pale, too pale. All right, Ortiz breathed. We move as a unit. Slow, careful, don't break formation. I stay on it at all times. They stepped into the lookout stairway. The entire structure tilted another inch, wood groaning like the bones of something drying. Dust drifted from the ceiling. The metal bolts in the frame squealed. Natalie gripped Athena's arm. We shouldn't. This thing's gonna knock us off. It'll kill us up here, Athena whispered. There's nowhere to run. Below them the creature didn't roar, didn't screech. It only watched. It observed. Standing still on all fours, head slightly tilted, its eyes glowing, pearl bright, reflective. The moment they began descending, the creature shifted. Not rushing, not stalking, repositioning, as if calculating the best angle. Planning trajectories. Every creak of the wooden steps echoed like gunshots. When they reached 10 feet off the ground, the creature backed up 2 slow steps, its gaze never leaving Athena. Keaton murmured under his breath, Jesus, it's not even looking at us, it's only watching her. Athena felt a wave of nausea rise. She clutched the railing harder. As their boots hit the forest floor, all guns snapped up, aimed squarely at the creature. The creature didn't flinch. It lowered itself slightly, almost a bow. Almost a threat, and his tail slid across dry leaves with a faint hiss. Keaton jogged to the nearest truck, following the keys in panic. Athena, Natalie, Leo, in! Now! The 3 teens sprinted over the gravel, slammed the doors behind them, and locked them instantly. The truck smelled like pine oil and sweat and something metallic, a ranger's half-clean gear. Ortiz, meanwhile, walked backward toward the second vehicle, never lowering his rifle. The creature angled its head subtly, tracking him, but its eyes always slid back to Athena. Its chest expanded. A faint grumbling growl vibrated the ground. Ortiz's jaw clenched. The thing really does want that girl. What the hell could be the possible reason? He reached the driver's side door of the second truck, but didn't get in. Keaton was shouting from inside the first truck, engine revving. Sarge, get in! It's coming! Get in now! But Ortiz didn't move. He looked at the creature, then at the kids. Then at the road that led 1 mile out of the park. He took in one long breath. I gotta make sure they make it out, he whispered. They've got everything ahead of them. I've done most of mine. Only thing I get to do was see my grandkids grow up. His grip tightened around the rifle, which is exactly why I'm not dying today on my knees. Keaton's face twisted in panic. Sarge, get in, please! Ortiz set his feet apart, firm and deliberate. Go, he roared. His voice echoed to the trees. Everyone flinched. Go! We're a mile from the entrance. Get these kids out of here, now! Athena slammed their palms against the window. No, wait! Go! Ortiz bellowed again, louder, his voice breaking with fury and fear. Keaton swore, teeth gritted, and slammed his foot on the gas. The truck lurched forward, tires spitting gravel as Keaton buried the accelerator. At that same time, the creature lunged. Its entire body snapped forward in a single terrifying moment. Claws outstretched, jaws open, a blur of muscle and eyes. It would have reached the vehicle. It would have torn straight through the steel. But Ortiz fired first. Crack! The rifle slammed into the creature's upper back, right where the dense scutes armored its spine. A spark burst from its hide. The creature jerked from the impact and raged. Its head snapped towards Ortiz. The creature let out a sharp screech, furious chirp, half raptor call, half snapping camera shutter. Ortiz fired again. This time the bullet struck its flank. A patch with thinner armor, the creature screeched. In agitated fury, it released an unstable, high-pitched sound that made the treetops tremble. Then it pivoted. Its eyes locked onto Ortiz. Ortiz's eyes widened as he mumbled the name. Eshma. It charged. It moved so fast it barely touched the ground. Ortiz raised his rifle, but the creature was already on him. The slash hit first. Claws dragged across the left side of his face. A single savage sweep. Glass exploded from the truck window behind him as his head struck it. Blood sprayed across the door in a thick arc. Ortiz collapsed to his knees, his rifle slipping from numb fingers. His vision flickered. The world tilted. The force spun wildly. He could only force open his right eye, and even then he saw nothing but swirling black at the edges. He tasted copper. His cheek felt split open. His hearing rang. He looked up. The creature stood over him on its hind legs, towering, silent, its breath foggy in cold streams into the night. Ortiz's stomach dropped. This was it. This was the moment every instinct in his body recognized. But the older ranger pushed himself upright anyway. Blood gushed down his jaw and his neck. His left eye was gone. His knees shook beneath him. Still he stood. He clenched his fist, and with every last fiber of strength in his body, he swung at the creature's chest. The punch landed with a dull, pathetic thud. like hitting the hood of a truck. The creature responded instantly. A screech, sharp and piercing, ripped from its throat. Then a new pain, hot, blistering, exploded across Ortiz's abdomen. Ortiz's breath hitched. He looked down. His stomach was open. Blood spilled in heavy steaming sheets, and something soft and wet pressed against his palm when he instinctively reached for the wound, his own intestines. A choke sound escaped him. Half gasp, half sob. The creature hissed, a rattlesnake-like vibration deep in his chest. Ortiz staggered backward. His legs gave out. He collapsed onto his back, air leaving his lungs in a broken wheeze. The creature stepped forward, one massive foot planted directly on his chest. Bone cracked beneath the pressure. Ortiz tried to move, but he couldn't. He tried to speak. Only blood bubbled from his lips. The creature lowered its head, slowly, deliberately, until its teeth hovered inches from his exposed organs. Ortiz managed one last breath. The night spun above him in a blur of stars and treetops. His final thought was not fear. It was a picture, soft, warm, and vivid, of two tiny children laughing in his arms, his grandkids. Then the creature bit down, a tearing wet rip, the sound of flesh being pulled free. Ortiz convulsed, fingers twitching against the dirt, hot blood pumped across the ground. The creature shook its head, a purr's instinctive motion, ripping loose a section of intestine and swallowing it whole. It lifted its head, tilting at Ortiz's fading form, as if studying the light draining from his eyes. Then it turned and sprinted after the truck. Ortiz lay on the forest floor, breathing shallow, his vision dimming as the pain faded first. Then the world and everything went silent. As the darkness closed in, the last thing he felt was a strange, quiet relief. A wish whispered into the night. Let it be over. And then finally, it was. Inside the Ranger truck, the air felt thick, stale with fear, the smell of old leather and gun oil pressing in around them, squeezing tight chest and shallow breaths until ears rang with pressure. Keaton gripped the wheel with white knuckles, blinking hard against the burn in his eyes. A single tear slipped free anyway, tracing down his cheek before he could stop it. Natalie noticed first. He didn't make it, did he? Keaton didn't answer. He didn't need to. Athena stared at the floor, nails digging into her palms, as Leo swallowed hard, refusing to look back. They had all felt the moment Ortiz fell, like a sudden weight dropping to the truck, like the floor of their stomachs giving way at once. Something in the forest had shifted, like the wood themselves have inhaled and never let anything go. Still, for the first time in hours, the truck offered the illusion of safety, motion, distance, escape. Creeping back into their bones. The headlights cut through a clearing, and Keaton exhaled sharply. They passed a sign. 1.5 miles to park exit. The kids let out a weak, broken cheers. One more breath, then sound. But cheers all the same. Keaton managed a small smile. Yeah, that's right. We're almost there. His voice cracked on the last word. In his head, he spoke to Ortiz. Your sacrifice isn't in vain, old man. They're gonna make it out. The thought steadied him. For 3 seconds. Safe. Then, something moved. Athena's head snapped left so fast as he felt bit into her shoulder. It's chasing us, she whispered. Then louder. It's chasing us, she yelled. It's here. It's running right next to us. Keaton's eyes shot to the tree line. A shadow slipped between the trunks fast, too fast, keeping perfectly paced with the truck. Leo's breath hitched. Oh my god, it's keeping up with us. Keaton's stomach dropped. Jesus Christ, he muttered. It took a shortcut. His voice hardened, low and grim. That thing is too damn smart for its own good. Leaves exploded outward as the creature barreled through the growth, eyes flashing between the trees like floating orbs. Keaton rolled the window down with his left hand. Cold air blasted into the cab. With his right hand, he grabbed the handgun from the console. All right, you son of a bitch. He leaned out, bracing his arm against the doorframe. Die. He fired and held the trigger. Muzzle flashes strobed the forest. White, black, white, black. Bullets tore through branches and bark. The woods blinked with each shot. The creature vanished behind a massive redwood. Shit, Keaton spat. These trees are too damn big. I can't get a clear shot. Branches snapped ahead, then behind, then ahead again. Too fast to track. Keaton ducked back inside and floored the gas. We're almost there, he shouted. Just hold on. He risked a glance in the rearview mirror. Athena was pale as a bone. Leo's grip on the spare rifle was white-knuckled. Natalie shook silently, both hands clamped over her mouth. Keaton's jaw was set. Stay with me, he murmured. We leave this forest alive. You hear me? Branches snapped violently to the left. Something was big, and it was closing in fast. The truck roared down the narrowing service road, headlights carving along the white blades through the trees. One of the last turns, Keaton yelled, Hold on, this one's tight. The speedometer climbed 50, 55. The road dipped, then curved. Keaton hit the brake. Tires screamed. The truck tilted. Everyone braced. Almost there, almost. Athena cut in, voice cracking. Keaton, left side, look, left. He glanced. Just for a second, a shadow glided through the trees, matching their speed stride for stride. Not running, gliding. It knew the road better than any human. Oh, hell! What the fuck? Keaton gasped. It's cutting ahead! The creature veered diagonally through the woods toward the sharp bend, the one with the steep drop behind it. It wasn't chasing, it was intercepting. Natalie screamed, "It's going to beat us to the curve!" Keaton jammed the brakes as they hit the first turn, skidding, fishtailing, then straightening out just as the second turn exploded out of the dark. A brutal left-hand bend, the truck lurched, gravel sprayed. Keaton whipped the wheel, slammed the gas, then his eyes widened. A sharp right turn loomed too close. "Hold on," he screamed. He spun the wheel and hit the brakes at the same time. Leo shouted, "Keaton, watch the—" He never finished. Suddenly burst from the tree line an explosion of motion and mass. Then the shape resolved midair. It was the monster. The impact was catastrophic. Metal shrieked, glass atomized into dust. The entire left side of the truck caved inward, flinging everyone sideways. Seatbelt snapped tight, bruising ribs. Athena's head cracked against the window. Leo's shoulder popped with a wet, sickening sound. The truck lifted, then flipped. The whole world turned into noise. A horn blared, screams echoed, branches punched through the shattered windows. The truck rolled, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but each rotation battered them, forehead slamming into the roof. Shattered glass slicing arms, the metal framing groaning as if folding inward. Keaton's hands lost the wheel. He heard something crying. Maybe himself. The 4th roll was worse, and the 5th roll crushed half the roof inward. Cold air rushed across Athena's legs where metal had torn open. Natalie screamed as the truck slid upside down, sparks ripping from the roof as it scraped down the dirt to pavement, skidding toward the edge of the road. Then it slammed to a stop against a fallen log at the brink of the turn. Silence. Except for the ringing in their ears, and the sound of dripping. Not water, but blood. For a long moment none of them moved. As Athena became aware of her own breathing, it was thin, whistling pulls that scraped her throat, and the high-classy ring in her ears that wouldn't fade. But Leo hissed through the clenched teeth, cradling his shoulder, every breath of sharp winds. Natalie whimpered softly, curled tight as tears fell from her eyes against the seatbelt, trembling. Keaton stayed hunched over the wheel, chest heaving, with blood dripping. Chapter 9. The world turned over. Keaton coughed violently, blood running from his nose. "Everyone still alive?" he rasped. A small whimper answered him. Natalie, upside down, pinned by her seatbelt. Leo groaned. My shoulder's out. I can't move my arm." Athena blinked through the blood in her eyelashes, her heart hammering. The world was sideways, maybe diagonal. It was hard to tell. Keaton tried to twist around. Then he froze, not from pain, but from terror, because outside, somewhere in the darkness of the ravine, they heard leaves crunching, slow and deliberate, and then that clicking sound, back again, in the dark. Natalie burst into tears, voice cracking with terror. "It's gonna kill us. Oh God, we're gonna die right at the exit." Her panic cut through the truck's suffocating stillness. Leo shook his head rapidly, blinking through blood, as he forced himself to not pass out. Stay awake, don't close your eyes, no matter what," he muttered, barely coherent. Natalie suddenly scrambled against her seatbelt, hands flailing blindly. My glasses! I can't see without my glasses!" Her voice pitched upward into a sobbing wail. Keaton hissed through the gritted teeth, voice raw. "Hey, listen to me. Stay calm. It's okay. We're right near the exit. We're gonna make it out of here alive. Do you hear me?" Nobody answered, but his words kept them conscious. Keaton's trembling fingers reached for his seatbelt release. It clicked loose, and he dropped straight down into the shattered glass and twisted metal below. He groaned, a deep guttural sound of pain. His shirt was soaked with blood. His left leg wasn't bending properly. His right hand was shaking violently. Natalie fumbled helplessly until Athena helped guide her fingers to the buckle. It clicked. Natalie fell too, landing on her elbows and crying out. Leo braced himself and released his seatbelt. His injured shoulder sent a bolt of white-hot agony through his ribs as he hit the floor. Every movement drew more whining, gasping, and broken pain noises from all of them. Blood dripped steadily onto the overturned roof, pooling around their knees and palms, and Natalie lifted her head, her vision swimming, and a huge, indistinct shape shifted outside the shadow window, a foot, 3 talons, one of them elongated into a razor-sharp sickle claw, pressed into the mud inches from her face. She inhaled sharply, hand flying to her mouth to keep his sound trapped inside. Leo followed her gaze. His voice trembled. "It's circling us, like we're a carcass, like a damn vulture waiting for us to stop moving." Another click echoed through the dark ravine. Closer. Keaton swallowed hard and forced himself upright, pushing glass off his legs. "We have to get out of here," he whispered, breath ragged. "But we can't. We can't let that thing loose. If it gets out of the forest," he shook his head, "it'll kill dozens, families, kids, even ecosystems." Leo barked a bitter laugh that turned into a groan of pain. "Yeah? Well, what the hell are we supposed to do? We can barely stand. We can barely see. We can barely move. I can't even move my left arm. Athena and Natalie are bleeding. You're half dead." The girls whimpered softly, curled up where they'd fallen, tears shrieking through dust and blood on their faces. Keaton didn't argue. He knew Leo was right, but he also knew something else. If someone didn't act, they'd all die anyway. Gritting his teeth, he clawed his way toward the broken doorframe. One leg dragged uselessly. His fingers smeared a red trail behind him on the roof-turned floor. Leo watched in disbelief. "Keaton, if you get out of that truck, you're dead," Leo mumbled. His voice was small, so defeated. "It's better to stay put, yeah? Just wait. Maybe someone drives by. Maybe someone sees us. We can't fight that thing." Keaton paused. He didn't turn around. He didn't look back. He just breathed once, deep, setting himself against the terror pressing on all of them. Outside, the clicking stopped. Silence, like the creature was listening. That was the worst part. For a heartbeat, the world went unnaturally quiet. The forest holding its breath, the air pressing hard against ears. Then, the truck trembled. A faint metallic groan vibrated through the floor. Athena's fingers curled instinctively into the glass beneath her. Leo froze mid-breath. Keaton's eyes went wide. "It's lifting us," Keaton whispered, the voice thin with disbelief. The truck lurched, just an inch, but enough to yank a scream from Natalie. Inside the crushed cab, everyone realized the same horrifying truth. The creature had its claws on the vehicle. Leo's thoughts spiraled. "It's too strong. It's too strong. Too strong." Keaton's gut dropped. "Shit, it's gonna flip us again. God, why does this thing have to be so strong?" Then wham! The world rolled. The overturned truck was heaved off the ground like it weighed nothing. They were thrown sideways in a violent whirling blur of broken glass and screams. Natalie slammed into Athena. Athena's shoulder cracked against metal. Leo's head smashed against the doorframe. Natalie cried uncontrollably. The truck crashed down onto its side with a metallic shriek that echoed through the ravine. Dust, glass, blood. Everyone lay where gravity decided. Half of them stacked upon one another, limbs twisted painfully, metal digging into their skin, glass cutting them. The engine wheezed like a dying animal. Leo groaned, clutching his ribs. Natalie whimpered, blind without her glasses. Athena pushed herself up just enough to see, and froze. And I, pressed against the jagged edges of the busted window, reflective, non-human, staring straight into hers. Her breath hitched. "It's here. Look, it's right here!" Leo craned his neck, vision swimming. "Shit," he whispered. Natalie cried, I can't see. I can't see." Then rip. Metal screamed as the driver's door was torn clean off from the truck and flung into the trees. A hurricane of cold air blasted in. Everyone gasped, and then slowly, horribly, a hand descended in. Long fingers, curved claws like obsidian knives, skin leathery and ridged. It reached inside the truck. They were too injured to scramble away. Keaton tried. He pressed his back against the tilted floor, pushing with his elbows, but the creature's claws closed around his calves. He didn't even have time to scream before paint shot up his leg like fire. Then he did scream. A loud, raw, agonized sound. Leo grabbed his arms instinctively, teeth gritted, muscles shaking with effort. I got you, Keaton." Keaton tried to dig his fingernails into the broken frame, dragging deep cuts into the metal. Blood dripped from his torso, from his mouth, from the gashes opening in his leg. The creature pulled. Leo's grip slipped once, twice, and then he was ripped free like a rag doll. His body vanished into the dark outside, followed by a sickening thud. Athena turned toward the broken windshield. Trembling outside, illuminated only by faint moonlight, Keaton lay on his stomach, dragging himself downhill. Blood spilled steadily from his shredded calves, leaving a long, wet streak behind him. He was crying softly, half pain, half shock, pushing himself desperately with his arms. A shadow moved beside him. Thump! A black foot planted on his back. Keaton choked on his own breath. The creature pressed down slowly, deliberately, crushing him flat into the ground. He screamed, voice muffled against the ground. The others watched from the cab in silent horror, unable to do anything, too broken, too hurt, too terrified. They couldn't move. The creature leaned in. Then its sickle claws sank deep into Keaton's back. Keaton screamed, a sound so sharp and primal that Natalie covered her ears and sobbed harder. Leo muttered, broken. "Oh God. Oh God." Athena couldn't breathe. The creature lifted its claw again, blood dripping thickly, then looked down at Keaton's noises as they grew softer and softer, until the only wet sound of blood hitting leaves remained. The creature crouched over him, studying him. It looked as if it was enjoying it. Then it pulled its claw free in one slick motion. Keaton's arm twitched once, twice, and stopped. The creature stood over Keaton's remains, chest rising and falling with slow, deliberate breaths, and then a single cold drop hit Athena's cheek. She flinched. Another, then another. Within seconds, the sky opened up like a snapped bone, rain exploding downward in a violent rush, masking sound, washing blood from the leaves, and swallowing the raven and noise. Rain came down in sheets, heavy, cold, relentless. Water hammered the overturned truck, running down the shattered windows and rivers. The forest turned into a blur of black shapes and silver shrieks. The smell of wet soil and blood filled the ravine. Leo cursed under his breath. Why does it gotta rain now? Athena snapped back, voice tight with fear. I don't know, Leo. Ask the damn weather. Natalie whimpered into her palms. I can't see anything. But the creature, it didn't move. It lifted its head toward the skies of listening to the rain, tilting it slowly, blinking slowly, curious, as though rain were unfamiliar to it. It thought it was remembering something. Its glossy eyes reflected the lightning above, making them glow unnaturally white. Athena stared at it, trembling. Leo whispered, "Why is it just standing there?" But before Athena could answer, blinding light flooded the hillside. The creature froze mid-motion, muscles tightening, head tilting a fraction as if caught between instinct and calculation. A pair of headlights broke through the downpour, bright, close, and they were moving fast. Engine roared up the incline. All three teens gasped. "Yes, yes, finally, help!" Leo shouted. "It's a car!" Natalie cried, sobbing with relief. Athena pressed her hands against the broken window, forcing herself up. The creature turned slowly, unnaturally slowly, its neck coiling like a snake's. The headlights lit up its entire body, casting a massive shadow on the slope. Rain steamed off its back as it stood motionless. The truck coming up the road was a truck. Deep blue, mud-splattered, headlights cutting through the storm. Inside sat a man in his late 50s. Broad, thick arms, heavy flannel soaked at the shoulders. A worn baseball cap sat low over his brow. He gripped the wheel with both hands. He'd been watching television when he heard screaming echo through the valley. He lived in the first house outside the park, the one closest to the entrance, closest to the danger, closer to the kids. The rain hammered his windshield so hard he could barely see 10 feet ahead. "Why the hell does it gotta pour on this night?" he muttered, wiping the fog from the glass with his sleeve. His hunting rifle sat in the passenger seat beside him, always there, always loaded. Coyotes, mountain lions, and the occasional black bear made it necessary, but nothing prepared him for that shape. He squinted, leaning forward. "What the?" he whispered. The silhouette stepped into full view, large, wrong, sitting upright on two massive hind legs, rain pouring down its rigid armored back. A glistening red trail ran downhill from the creature to the overturned truck. The water washed the blood into a dilated river of pink and crimson. The man's stomach churned. His eyes widened. "That ain't no damn mountain lion," he breathed. "That ain't no bear. That ain't no—" Lightning flashed overhead. For one horrifying second he saw it clearly. The creature standing on its two hind legs, eyes white and reflective. The dead ranger sprawled at its feet. The truck flipped on its side. Blood everywhere. His heart slammed against his ribs. That ain't even an animal. That's a monster. Anger surged through him. Anger stronger than fear. He clenched the wheel so hard his knuckles whitened. "All right, you son of a bitch." He slammed his foot on the gas. The ram roared like a beast, tires spitting mud as it barreled up the hill, straight at the creature. The creature lowered itself, muscles tightening beneath soaked, leathery, scaly skin. Then it turned its head and smiled. The man floored the accelerator, aiming the ram straight at the monster. "Come on," he roared, every muscle in his body tensed. But the creature sidestepped. Not stumbled, not panicked, not flinched, but it sidestepped, like it had rehearsed this moment. The truck tore past it, tires screeching in the mud, the truck fishtailing before the man regained control with a violent jerk of the wheel. He gasped for air, his heart pounding in his throat. Then instinct kicked in. Call for help. He gripped the wheel with both hands, panting, "Call 911. Now." He snatched up his beat-up flip phone and snapped it open with trembling fingers. The storm almost drowned out the ringing. Even with the wipers on full speed, the Dinosaur was a solid gray wall. Through it, he could barely make out the shape of a flipped Ranger vehicle halfway up the hill, and a single body sprawled at the entrance. Jesus Christ. 911, what's your emergency? Roy's voice cracked as he shouted over the pounding rain. "Yeah, hi. Yeah. This is Roy McBarry. I live at the bottom of the Redwood Ridge Road, right by the state park entrance. I'm telling you, right now, you gotta send me units right now. Sir, please explain. What's the situation?" Roy wiped rain from his eyes, breathing hard. There's a body in the road, face down, blood everywhere. Looks like a ranger, and I think 3 teenagers in one of the ranger trucks, which is practically destroyed. A window shattered, a door ripped off, and I can't see inside. But Jesus, after seeing this," he swallowed. "I think they're all dead." "Sir, do you see anyone else in the area? Any movement?" Roy nodded instinctively, forgetting they couldn't see him. There's something up there," he whispered, voice trembling. "I don't know what the hell it is. I saw a silhouette, big, real big, and wrong. Not a bear, not a cat. Looked like hell. I don't even know, something tall walking on 2 legs." His voice cracked. "It killed someone. And that ranger's not the only one it just hit." The dispatcher paused. "Sir, are you saying there's someone dangerous on the road? A person?" "No, not a person," Roy said, staring to the storm. "Something else." Lightning flashed. The creature was gone from where it had stood. Roy's breath caught. He whipped his head around, eyes scanning the rain blurred forest. "There's something out here." He panted into the phone. "It ain't no damn bear, ma'am. I've lived here 37 years. I know every damn animal in this county, and this, he choked on his own breath. "It killed people." He shouted. "There's something walking, upright, bigger than a damn moose, scaled skin, claws like machetes." The dispatcher's voice was calm, but rising with urgency. "Sir, please calm down. Are you saying there's a dangerous animal attacking people? How many injured? Sir, I need your location." Roy wiped sweat from his brow with the back of his wrist. Then crash. A blur. Glass exploded inward. Roy screamed as claws punched through the driver's seat window and wrapped around his skull. "Ah! Help me! Help me!" Blood sprayed across the dashboard as he thrashed helplessly. The dispatcher's voice rose sharply. Sir, are you in danger? Stay on the line. We're sending units. Hello?" But Roy couldn't answer. Blood flowed down the dashboard. His legs kicked helplessly against the pedals. The phone picked up a deep hissing, layered with clicking, inhuman and sharp, like glitched audio twisted with an animal's cry. The creature tightened its grip. Crack! bone cracked. His vision exploded in stars. His scream cut off into a choking gasp. The phone remained on. A final exhale. Then only rain pounding. Static. And the creature slowly deliberate breathing close to the microphone. Sir, please, if you can hear me, stay on the line. Help is on the way. But the line stayed open to nothing but the monster's presence. Chapter 10. The Will to Live. From inside the ranger truck, pressure rang in their ears, lungs burning as breath came shallow and uneven. Athena, Leo, and Natalie lay mashed together against the crushed floor. Every breath pained, every movement sending knives through bruised ribs, but then they heard it. Not the rain, not the wind, not the muttered, mutated rasp of a creature. A sound. From behind their truck, ragged, human, breaking into a scream. Ah! Help! Help me! Athena's face went white. That was the guy in the truck that came all the way up here, she whispered. They all held their breath. The scream sharpened, rose, became a wet, choking noise. And then a sickening, wet crack. Dead silence. Natalie slapped a hand over her mouth, sobbing soundlessly. Leo squeezed his eyes shut, like he could shake the sound out of his skull. Athena whispered, barely audible over the downpour. That wasn't a person falling. That was his head. The rain hammered harder, masking everything but their own trembling breaths. Then, from somewhere behind the truck, they heard heavy footsteps in the mud. Slow, purposeful, crunching gravel, digging claws. The creature stepped away from Roy's body. Natalie trembled violently. It killed him, she choked. It killed him right behind us. Oh God! Oh God! Oh God! Something wet slid down the grass beside her. Blood? Rain mixing with it? They don't know. Leo swallowed hard, voice cracked and hollow. That ain't no dinosaur. He stared at Athena with wide shaking eyes. That's a monster. A shadow passed across the shattered windshield. The creature was coming. The creature's footsteps grew heavier, closer, until the metal beneath them hummed, and their bones rattled. The vibrations rolling through the overturned truck like distant thunder. Crunch. Metal shrieked. It ripped the other door clean off, flinging it somewhere into darkness. Rain hammered the wreck. Silence followed. A silence so absolute that they could hear each other breathing. Leo whispered, Where did it go? Athena shook her head, pressing a trembling hand to her bleeding forehead. I don't know. Boom. The entire world flipped. The truck was hurled into the air like a toy. Their bodies slammed into metal, glass, and each other. Screams tore out of them, raw from agony. Then wham. The truck crashed back down once again upside down, but crushed, crumpled, barely holding shape. Athena gasped with pain that felt like fire under her ribs. Leo coughed up blood, gripping his side. And Natalie was screaming, Help us! Please help! But then her voice changed. Panic, disoriented. My eyes, there's dirt, glass, blood, I can't see. Help! Athena stiffened. Natalie, stop! Don't move! But Natalie didn't hear her or understand. Still half blind, she scrambled toward the open space, dragging herself through the gap and out of the ground as her hands slipped on the wet glass. Natalie, no! Leo shouted, reaching out. I'm safe, she cried wildly. I'm safe! She stumbled to her feet in the rain, wiping at her hands over and over, or shaking bloody hands. Stop, please stop! Athena screamed, voice cracking. Natalie blinked hard, and finally got her eyes open, right into a pair of glowing eyes staring inches from her face. The creature had been standing right there, silently waiting. Natalie froze, her mind is blank. Just a single breath slipped out of her. No. The creature struck, its jaws clamped down through her forearm with a wet crunch, tearing it clean off as if it was ripping a chicken wing from a carcass. Blood sprayed into the rain. Natalie shrieked, a sound so sharp it could cut someone in half. She clutched the stump with her remaining hand, stumbled, then she ran, screaming, bleeding, stumbling down the hill into the darkness. Athena sobbed in horror. No, Natalie, please, no. Leo could barely breathe. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Natalie made it maybe 10 steps. Her screams pitched higher, strangled, broken. Then she suddenly stumbled, gasping. The venom hit her bloodstream fast, her heart stuttering, breath seizing as heat and numbness raced outward from the wound. Her leg buckled without warning. The strength simply vanished, replaced by burning numbness that raced up her thigh like fire under the skin. Her fingers began to spasm next, jerking uncontrollably, as her remaining hand clawed uselessly at the air. What's happening? Her body convulsed, muscles seizing hard as if electricity ripped through her spine. She crashed to her knees, breath catching in her throat, lungs refusing to draw air in no matter how hard they tried. She tried to scream again, but her chest locked. The muscle simply stopped listening. She pitched forward onto the wet dirt, dragging herself with one arm, fingers slipping in mud and blood. Leo screamed from inside the truck. Natalie, get up. Please, get up. She tried. Her legs twitched uselessly beneath her breath. Her vision fractured, doubling, tripling, edges dissolving into gray and black. The paralysis crept higher. Her ribs stiffened, breath turning shallow and frantic. Every inhale was weaker than the last. She could only move her eyes now, rolling wildly as the creature approached behind her. Natalie gurgled, blood bubbling at her lips. I don't want to die. Her eyes fluttered, unfocused. Mom, she whispered. Dad, please. Rain washed the blood off her face, off her stomach, mixing into a pained pink stream that flowed down the hill. Athena sobbed into her hands. Leo slammed his fist against the crashed dashboard again and again. Damn it, please, someone help us. Natalie's paralysis locked her body in place, eyes wide, fingers twitching, breath barely a thread. The creature stood over her, steam rising off its hide as it stood in the cold rain. For a moment it simply watched her, head tilted, body unnaturally still, that faint clicking echoing once more as if it was measuring her, remembering her, deciding. Not hungry, not frantic, just studying. Then it lowered its head. Athena and Leo, trapped inside the wrecked truck, watched in silent, shaking terror as the creature opened its jaws, not like a predator, striking fast, but slow, deliberate, almost gentle. Its teeth slid around Natalie's skull, positioning her as if aligning a piece of fruit. Natalie's eyes moved, only her eyes, rolling desperately toward the truck, toward her friends, pleading silently. Then, crunch! Her scream didn't even escape her throat. The creature lifted her entirely off the ground by her head, holding her in the air like a caught rabbit, rain pouring down her limp body as it rose on its hind legs. Blood slipped from its jaws in thin streams, dripping onto the ground below. It stood there for several long, horrifying seconds, savoring the moment, savoring her hopelessness, savoring the fear radiating from the overturned truck, savoring knowing they were watching. Then, with a violent twist of its neck, it hurled Natalie's body off its teeth like a weightless rag doll. Her torso spiraled through the air, flopping over and over, before slamming into a fallen log with a wet, bone-cracking thud. The rain washed her body into the mud immediately. The creature turned back toward the truck. Its tail swayed. Its eyes flashed white in the storm light. Chapter 11. Not finished. The creature padded through the mud, slow and deliberate. Rain slid down its hide in heavy sheets, beating along ridges of armor and dripping from its claws like ink. It crouched beside the crouched truck, lowering itself until its massive shoulders blocked what little light remained. Athena and Leah froze. The creature's face descended closer and closer until its glowing eyes hovered inches above Athena's. Its breath fogged the shattered window, warm and sour, carrying the copper stink of blood. The jaw shifted, teeth clicked once, then in a soft, intimate whisper so close it felt pressed inside of her skull that should not have been possible, that no human mouth could have formed. Sweetie, I'm here to help. Athena's head snapped up so hard she nearly struck the roof. Mom? Mom? Her voice broke. Hope surged, wild, desperate, irrational. Mom, is that you? Please say something. She lurched forward toward the opening, blinded by tears, reaching, too far, too trusting. The creature struck. A clawed hand snapped around her skull and yanked her out of the wreck like she weighed nothing. Metal shrieked as her body scraped free. Athena screamed, a raw, tearing sound. Athena! Leo lunged after her, fingers clawing uselessly at the frame as his broken body collapsed back into the cab. The creature held her aloft by her head. Rain lashed her face, blood streamed from her temple, her boots kicked weakly, slipping in the mud. The creature tilted its head and spoke again, this time in her father's voice. You're safe. Athena went still, her eyes widened as her breath caught. Papa? Silence. Then fury. Pure, blinding rip through her. What did you do to my mom and dad? She screamed. What did you do to them? The creature dropped her. Athena collapsed to her knees, choking, soaked through. Shaking uncontrollably, she looked up. Its mouth was still, too still, the corners tight, restrained, then knee lifted. A smile, not wide, not feral, measured, like it enjoyed the confusion and agony as much as the pain. Athena lunged, swinging with trembling fist. Too slow. Slash. Impact landed before the pain registered. A claw crossed her face, a clean, perfect cut. Blood burst hot and blinding as the rain washed it down. Ah! My eye! She crashed sideways into the mud, clutching her face, screaming as the world tilted and went half dark. Her right eye was gone. Why? She sobbed. Why me? Why my friends? Why my family? The creature only watched, silent, unblinking, studying her, suffering with a cold, with a clinical interest. Its jaws began to open slowly. Athena stared up at it, helpless, breath hitching, blood pouring through her fingers. Leo dragged himself from the wreck, elbows slipping him. Athena! He screamed, don't touch her, don't! The creature stepped forward, muscles coiling, then sirens. Faint at first, growing. Red and blue lights cut through the rain. Police SUVs, ambulances, forestry trucks, engines howled up the road as tires chewed mud and gravel. The creature paused, its head turned, nostrils flaring as it listened. The hillside erupted in strobes of white, red, and blue. For a moment the creature stood tall, almost regal, a silhouette carved in the flashing light. It looked down at Athena one last time. Then with a low hiss, it vanished, a black obsidian streak swallowed by rain and forest. Athena sagged forward, shuddering. Clutching her ruined eyes, the vehicles fled to the scene. Leo crawled to her side, shaking, pressing his forehead to hers. Stay with me, he whispered. Please stay awake. Sirens wailed closer. Hands reached for them. But the creature was gone. Thank you for listening, and thank you for watching. Unauthorized Life will continue, and I hope you stay tuned for it. There will be more chapters and parts in the future, so if you would like to see what happens, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned.